Number 9 on the calendar in the matter of Davis versus Dyer. Parties have been sworn in. Sir, you may have a seat, please.
Ms. Davis, you developed a website. It sounds to me as if it was sort of a mentoring website for young women who were preparing for beauty pageants, who needed some coaching. And as a former beauty pageant winner, and I understand from your complaint that you were,
yes,
you felt as if you had some qualifications to do that. The website was developed and you needed someone to help you market it, according to what I read, and you retained the defendant in order to do that. You gave her a $5,000 deposit. According to you, that you want your money back. That's what the case is about. So how did you find the defendant?
The defendant found me on social media through Facebook.
Ms. Dyer, tell me how you found the plaintiff.
I met Amy about 6 years ago. I was throwing a birthday party for a mutual friend, and that's how I originally met Amy. I had a client who had recently launched from his stem cell business into a medical spa. We were doing a marketing campaign where we were looking for models to actually demonstrate the services. And I reached out to her and I explained to her what we were doing. And if she was interested, that she would receive Botox, fillers, and lip injections.
If she was interested in modeling for this other client of yours.
Yes.
Well, how did it come about that you offered your services as a marketer to her?
That is how the doctor wanted to do it in exchange for them coming. We had a group of where we were marketing to the masses to come in and see these services done. And so they would come in.
No, listen to me. You were offering her,
yes,
is what you're telling me, a job.
Yeah, it was.
I want to know how it came about. No. I want to know how it came about that she gave you $5,000.
Okay. So when we were finished, I was in the conference room and I wanted to find out how it went for her.
So you employed her. Your
yes,
company employed
yes,
her. Okay. And you were talking to her.
Yes.
In the conference room. That was in 2018.
Yes. It's September 27th.
Okay.
I have a picture right here of Amy that I took.
No, I don't need a picture.
Okay.
Just tell me the story.
So I was in the conference room. I asked her how it went. She said she really enjoyed it. We started to speak. She asked me what I did doing for the particular company. I explained to her what I did in marketing, and she said that she had been wanting to take her coaching program online and was needing some help. And I told her more. She started to show me on her phone other people that she knew.
You mean this was all in the conference room?
Yes.
Shh. This was all in the conference room. Okay, that was after the gig. So you spoke for a while in the conference room.
Yes.
And she showed you what she was doing online, what the program was that she was doing online.
Yes, you are correct.
Okay, so
yeah, we
that
spoke
was
for a couple hours.
Nice. Okay, that's good. And what happened next?
So she wanted to know how much it would cost to retain my services. I told her for what she's looking at to do something online, it would start her probably about $10,000 to start. And she says, I don't have that much. And I said, well, I mean, it sounds like a great opportunity. I'd like to learn more, but what we could have you do is pay half of that and we rev share on the profits. And she said, that sounds very interesting. And so we talked a little bit more. And as I learned more about it, I got more excited because she was showing me these other accounts.
Are you talking to me about the conversation you had with her on September 27th?
Yes.
Or were we talking about a different day? That's all
the same
September
day, Your Honor.
27th.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
The same day. Okay. When was the next date you saw her?
She wrote me a check out that day.
No. When was the next day you saw her?
That would have been October 1st.
Where did you see her?
She came over to our office. She brought Greg with her.
Who was Greg?
The gentleman.
Or your husband?
That's me, Your Honor. I'm a friend of Amy's. I'm also an attorney, but I'm not Amy's attorney.
Okay, just sit. You're a friend. Okay, so she brought Greg with her, and?
She told me and Jarrell and Emily that this was her boyfriend, and she wanted him to hear and learn more.
I don't care.
Okay, that's not important.
Doesn't matter. 27th, you didn't have a meeting. You were talking.
Yes.
She came to your office on October 1st.
Yes.
She had already written a check to you for $5,000.
She had.
That she gave you on September 27th, for which you did no work. That was just a sort of beginning process.
We actually started all the research because we were there to meet with her on the 1st to go and show her all the research we had done. And so we spent about $300.
I didn't know. I want to know what you did for her between September 27th and October the 1st.
So what we did is we spent that time preparing to see her, and we had done about 360 hours of research in researching what she needed.
Ridiculous. So
the research is necessary.
What I'm telling you is between September 27th, which goes, you already had done a job on the 27th, you are not going to convince me that you did 360 hours between the 28th of September and the 1st of October. 360 hours, because there aren't 360 hours in that period of time.
We did, well, man hours. So there was 3 of us that did it, and in man hours, that's what it took, so that when we met with Amy, we could actually see what we were looking at.
Who's 3?
Myself,
Who's 3?
Jarrell, and Emily.
Who are those 2 people?
Jarrell and Emily are my partners.
Are they your children?
They are.
Okay, so you met with her and your 2 kids.
Yes.
How old are you?
I'm 55.
And how old are
He is an artist and a designer, and my daughter...
Just one second. I'm not finished.
Okay.
He's 31.
Yes.
And he was at this meeting on October 1st.
Yes.
Was he at that meeting on October 1st?
Yes.
And your daughter, how old is she?
27, and she went to FIT and graduated in FITM and design.
And was she at the meeting on October 1st? Hello, Miss Davis?
Yes, she was at the meeting on October 1st.
So you were there, your 2 children, the plaintiff, and her friend.
Yes.
And what time was the meeting called?
What time was it called
What
for?
time was the meeting called for?
I'm going to say it was a bit late.
In the a.m.
Yes.
And I want you to show me what you presented to her on October 1st as a result of the 360 man-hours that you spent on the 28th, the 29th, and the 30th. Show me what you presented to her. Okay, warranty of services.
Yeah.
What is that?
So this is basically showing her exactly line by line what we would be doing to be able to...
So this is what you say you're going to do for her. I want you to show me the product of 360 man-hours of work.
We didn't know what we were going and looked at all the other online pageant, the people and what they were doing, what they were charging, what their volume was, how many awards they had won. We needed to have something to compare by to be able to create that marketing for her, and so that was the time that we spent.
So the bottom line is you didn't show her anything, nor can you show me anything that you
Well, yeah, where the product started.
360 man-hours.
Yes, so where that
hit.
So where that started.
You're a marketer.
You bet. So where that started was after our meeting with Greg and Amy. That's when we began and started to do the work. Amy had come in. She brought... What
you're saying is you didn't do any work between the 27th and the 1st except to prepare this one-page thing of what you proposed to do for her.
That would be correct.
Is that right?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, good. So now that's clear, because I was confused about the 360 hours from 2 days. That math doesn't work for me, and I'm pretty dumb in math. So after they left and you had her $5,000, that was on October 1st.
Is when they came.
When was the next time you saw Miss Davis?
So the next time I saw her from the time that we were in the...
October 1st.
And this is important, Judge, because this is...
Pay careful attention to me.
Yes.
My question is a direct one. We are now in August of 2020.
Yes.
I want to know, after October 1st, 2018, when was the next time you saw Miss Davis?
So the communication was there through
text
messaging.
That's not a so. That's not a so. No, that's not a so. That's a date.
Okay.
That's not a so.
October 2nd.
That's not a story.
October 2nd, 2018.
Where did you see her?
So she was texting us.
Where did you see her?
Well, she ghosted us after the 5th. I never saw her again after the 5th. Literally.
Just a second. Listen to me. I asked you a simple question.
Yes.
From October 1st, 2018, until the next date that you saw her.
Well, it was by phone.
And you said October 2nd.
By phone.
No, not by phone. In person. She gave you $5,000.
Never saw her.
I want to know when the next time.
Never saw her in person after October 1st. She completely ghosted us after the... She ghosted us for a year after the 5th.
I have no idea what you...
So ghosted is when they just don't show up. They don't show up to the meetings. They tell you they're late. They tell you that they have prepared their script like she did, and she never prepared it. This information ready for us, and we were all ready to start shooting her and filming her, and she didn't show up.
So what I want you to do is show me what you did for her between October 1st, 2018, and today. What you did for her, what your marketing company did for her, is show me what you did for her between October 1st, 2018, and today. What you did for her, what your marketing company did for her, how it prepared. Just show me. Put up one at a time.
Okay, so here's the first one. We were prepped and ready to have her come in and to start filming her. She said that she
no. I'm not interested in text messages. I want to see.
You want to
what
see the
you
logo
did
that we
for her.
created? You want to see the logo that we created for? Is that specific?
That would be a start. That would be a start. Take off the texts and show me a logo that you prepared for her.
You know what, Your Honor? I did not bring a copy of the logo. I brought a copy of our conversations.
Okay. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000 for her refund. We're done here. Thank you very much. Well, let me start with you, Ms. Holman. How long did you and your husband own this beauty salon?
5, almost 6 years.
And do you rent the space from someone?
I do. I rent the building, or of the building.
How much rent do you pay, or did you pay?
The first year, it started out at $1,500.
And what was it in 2019?
$1,750.
Were you current in your rent at the time that you sold the salon to the plaintiff?
I sold my assets to the plaintiff, and I was 4 months behind on rent.
So far, you had a broken lease, and according to what I read in the complaint, you had not maintained your filing status with the state, correct?
I had a business.
That's either a yes or a no?
Yes.
So the asset that you were selling was what?
Was all the assets that were inside the salon.
What is that?
The furniture, the decorations.
The renters, the people that
Okay. Now,
rented.
I didn't ask you anything.
I was helping her out.
I didn't ask you anything.
Thank you.
Don't help her unless I ask you a question. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Perfect.
And the landlord, and I was selling the agreement from the landlord to the purchaser.
Did Bill tell you he was going to evict you if you didn't pay rent?
No, not at all.
Well, what's the reason for your not paying rent? For 4 months?
I had a business partner, and she decided to fall in love with a military man, and she left the state. And so I was left to take over and pay everything on my own when she used to pay for half of everything. So I talked to the landlord.
Well, did you pay half your rent?
Yes, I did pay partial payments to Bill.
How much is partial payment? Let's go. I just want to know.
You know, there was $800, there was $400, there was $200. It just depended on the week and how much I was making at the moment. My landlord was extremely
This is what
helpful.
the case is about. You agreed to sell the assets of a place that you were behind in rent on, that was not a legitimate salon because the license hadn't been maintained for a couple of years. You agreed to sell that to the plaintiff for the sum of $10,000. She gave you a $5,000 deposit. We all agree that she gave you a $5,000 deposit. That's what she wants back. Now, are you back in the salon?
No, I'm not.
Well, are you not back in the salon because of COVID? You don't seem to not back to work in January.
I was back to work in January in the salon. And
January?
Yes.
Right. And you were back to work in February in the salon. You were back to work until they closed the salons because of COVID.
Correct.
So you took possession of what you sold her until the state of Washington State, until they closed down all the salons.
I sold my assets to the building owner, which was Bill.
Just a second. So Bill bought your salon?
He bought everything that was inside the salon.
How much did Mr. pay you for the contents of the salon, other than for giving you your rent?
It was the lease. He let me out of that as well.
What do you mean as well? As well as what?
He let me out of the contract.
And
he forgave any
and
payments.
he took, just a second, and he took possession of all the furniture. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, most of it. Mirrors, stations, roller carts.
So he took that because he knew he wasn't going to get any money from you.
No, he wanted to leave it there so that he could then, in turn, rent it out.
Well, that was a bad deal. I think I have a feeling that Bill got snookered. He got snookered by COVID, and he got snookered by you.
Not by me.
Why didn't you give her money back?
Because she told me
she gave you
ask for it back. She also stated that I doubt you have it.
Just don't say anything.
She said, so I want everything that you have to do with this business. Sure. She wouldn't take her money back.
Just a second. You sold it to somebody. What are you, crazy?
I'm not crazy.
I mean, are you crazy?
I have the statement. I have her.
What she bought to somebody else and kept her money.
I have a text message also that this was that he stated to me. This was his idea.
You hadn't paid rent to him then, by that time, for 5 months, and certainly weren't going to pay him for March, April, May, June, July, because all salons were closed in Washington State.
Right.
So he said, well, give me what you got. I mean, I can't get blood from a turnip, so I'm going to take over everything, and I'll let you out of your lease, and so I won't sue you for the back rent for 2 years, and goodbye and good luck. Is he a friend of yours?
The back rent was for 4 months. And
is he a friend of yours, is my question.
Not. I would say acquaintance, but not a friend. We don't have barbecues
together. He's an acquaintance. You have to give her back a deposit. Judgment for we're done. You see, you didn't have to say a word.
Yana, this is number 39 on the calendar, the matter of Pugatch versus Gunasegra. Really. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have a seat.
Ms. Pugatch, what's your first name?
Sandra.
Mr. Gunasegra, your first name?
Surya.
How long had the two of you been dating?
We dated for about 2.5 years.
Did you live together?
No.
But it is you made a series of loans to him.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Gunasegra says there were no loans, just the give and take of a normal dating relationship. And he acknowledges that you laid out some money for him. He said that that's part of the dating relationship. Is that right, sir?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. When did you start dating?
We started dating in October of 2002.
And when was the first loan that you made to him?
In July of 2004.
What was it for?
It was for a trip. We went on a couple of trips after he got back from Europe after he graduated from college. And the first trip to Canada, and when we would go out, I would pay. And he would always say, oh, when we get back and I get a job, I'll pay you back. And then we went to my hometown in Georgia, and I paid for the hotel, and we went out to dinner. And he said that he would pay for half of it when we got back, and he got a job.
Well, did he ever get a job?
No.
Huh?
No, Your Honor.
He never got a job?
Not until recently.
What's next?
In August, I went to Barcelona to study abroad for the semester, and I thought he was going to stay home and get a job so he could finally get the money to pay me back. And I would question him on if he's been applying to jobs, so I figured he was on a line to get a job eventually, hopefully sooner than later.
Go ahead, Sandra. I'm listening for the rest of the loans.
Okay, so then he moved to Europe, and he eventually came to Barcelona, and I paid for his rent while he lived there, and I paid for his food, and anywhere we would go out, I would pay. And every time I would give him money, he would say, don't worry, you know, when we get back, I'll get a job. I promise I'll pay you back.
Keep going.
Then we finally came back to the States, and he was going to interviews quite often. He would say he got a job offer, but then wouldn't take it.
Keep going with the loans, my dear.
Of 2005, we took a trip to Las Vegas, and I paid for everything while we were there. And then I really just got tired of him not paying me back. We got back home.
You say in your complaint that he wanted $500 to gamble with.
Yes.
And you gave it to him.
I did.
Who are these two gentlemen over here?
This is my roommate, Danny McGee, and he was in Vegas with us. And then this is my friend, Devin, and he is a mutual friend of ours. He used to hang out with us. He would see me giving Surya money all the time and him promising to pay me back.
Well, I want to hear about the promise to pay you.
Sorry, my name's Danny. Danny McGee. I'm roommates with Sandy, and I went on a trip to Vegas with both of them. And there's been times in the past where she would give him money to gamble with the agreement that if he lost, she would take the loss, and if he won, that they'd split the winnings. And this trip to Vegas, she was hesitant to go because he didn't have any money. And we got out there, and I saw her $200 or $300 that he borrowed from her. And she said specifically at the time, I'm going to give you this money, and if you lose, you owe it to me. And he agreed and actually lost all the money. And since then, I know he's had 2 jobs and has made no effort to pay.
Anything to add to this case?
Yeah, I do, actually. Should I stand up?
Yes, you should.
Okay. Well,
Your name?
my name is Devin Stinson, and I've called him before in the past, and I've said, hey, let's go get some food or something. And he'd say, well, you got to call Sandy because I don't have any money. And then I'd call Sandy, and we'd all go out, and then what would wind up happening is he would order, and then after everything was over, he would say, well, I don't have any money, and he'd just expect it to be paid for.
Thank you.
Okay.
Ball's in your court.
Well, first off, let me say that because I had a job. I had an internship with a software company, and I had that for a while, and it didn't end up working out. My plane ticket wasn't for 6 weeks later, so Sandy and I both agreed that it would be good to spend that 6 weeks together, because I was actually living in Switzerland at the time. And so I came down to Barcelona, and I did have some income through a rental property of mine. So I was making some type of money.
Surya, how old are you?
23.
Am I correct? According to your answer, you're in law school now?
No, not till August.
Where?
Thomas Jefferson or the University of Denver. I haven't chosen one.
What college did you go to? And you?
I'm still in school at the University of Colorado.
Where do you get all this money from, Sandra?
I have 2 jobs that I work.
What 2 jobs do you work?
I am the assistant manager at a bowling alley at the school, and I work for the housing department at the university.
Who's paying your tuition?
My parents are.
Did they like him?
Sometimes. Most of the time.
Well, I'm sure he can be charming.
You sure can.
When the first time you went out for dinner with him, and he said, I'm sorry, I left my wallet in my other car. I left my wallet in Switzerland. Based upon what this young man has, sort of a regular occurrence, you would go out for a meal, He would eat, and you would pay. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Should have known better, Sandra. Who is this, by the way?
This is Ryan Watson. He's my roommate.
Does he have anything to contribute to this case?
Yeah. I'll let him explain.
I witnessed on many occasions Surya doing favors for Sandy, tutoring her and cleaning and making her dinner and things like that. And on some of those occasions, she would ask Surya to help her do those things, and Surya would say, no, not right now, I'm busy. But then she would say, Surya, you owe me some, and he would end up doing that. So in both our opinions...
So you mean he was bartering domestic chores
right.
for the money he owed her?
Right.
And educational, Your Honor.
Surya, do you think that Sandra tutored you in some things?
As far as school?
Anything!
It's quite possible.
She didn't charge you for it, did she?
Emotionally, she charged me.
How did she... Shh, come on, folks. Come on, behave. Let's behave. How did she charge you emotionally?
I had to put up with so much ridiculous nonsense.
Surya, that you don't have to put up... You weren't tethered to a radiator, were you?
In a metaphorical sense.
No metaphorical sense. No metaphorical
Literally,
sense.
no.
You were in Switzerland. She was in Barcelona. Nobody got a magnet and attached it to you in Switzerland. You came down there by your...
own recognizance.
You're not in law school yet. Let's stick to the English you understand, sir.
Okay.
You think you took advantage of her?
I don't.
You just think that she understood what she was getting herself into. She had the money at the time. You did not.
Right.
And she wanted to travel to Vegas.
She
and
understood
she said,
that
I got the money. You pay me back when you get a job.
No, the arrangement was she was going to cover all the expenses.
Why?
Why? Because they needed a third person to go. Danny and her weren't just going to go by themselves.
Why?
Because they needed motivation. And I was that motivation.
Sandra,
Yes,
you schlepped around with him for 2 years.
Yes,
You
Your Honor.
let him take advantage of you for 2 years. So then what you do is you say, thank God I figured out that this was not Mr. Right. Before I had a child with him. You can sit down now, roommate. I don't think you had a valid contract with him. I think you had the hopes and the dreams of a young lady who was in love. And I'm sure that there was a time when he felt mutually. But you're a giver, and he's a taker. Somehow in his own mind, he is entitled to take. Where are your parents?
In Santa Monica?
Did they indulge you?
Not really.
Sounds to me as if you've been indulged. Switzerland, Barcelona, working, not working, the girlfriend takes care of you. There's a sense, Surya, of entitlement. Shh, do not answer. Now it's my turn. Sandra may find you irresistible, I guarantee you, sir. I do not. So, Sandra, I wish in my heart I could say to you, you had a valid contract, which is the only thing that I'm here to address. You did not have a contract recognized in the law for him to pay you back. But I'm telling you, I think that you're lucky. Because you're a lovely-looking, intelligent, hard-working young lady who should not hitch her star to somebody who has a sense use you in one way or another for your whole life. Got it?
Yes, Your Honor.
Goodbye. Good luck. Miss Grimm, your daughter was having a birthday party. What birthday was she celebrating?
Actually, it was two of my daughters, my 11-year-old and my 13-year-old.
How many children did you have at the party?
There was approximately 20 to 25 children.
And Miss Bynum's granddaughter was one of those children, and you are her guardian. Is that right?
Yes.
It is your claim that Miss Bynum's granddaughter bike. It's a motorized bike, is that right?
Yes, gas.
And she damaged the bike. You want her grandmother to pay for it.
Yes.
Tell me how that happened.
Well, it was understood that the party...
Don't tell me what was understood. Just tell me what happened.
During the course of the party, we had allowed the children to ride. We have approximately 8 different bikes. And they were given certain rules that they had to follow in order to be able to ride the bikes. And Michaela did not follow those rules and therefore damaged the bike.
What rule didn't she follow?
Well, they were only supposed to go a certain distance, still within visual range of our house, which is approximately 8 to 9, turn around and come back. And then she was
and
supposed
who was
to take
watching
turns.
them at that time?
I was outside in the garage, and then my boyfriend, Rodney.
Well, who was watching Michaela? That's Michaela over there?
Yes.
Who was watching Michaela?
Everybody was, because the children...
No, not everybody. Were you watching her?
No.
Next to your grandma, okay? How did you know that Michaela had damaged the bike? Did somebody come and say Michaela fell off the bike?
Yes. It was about 5 children that had come and told us that.
Who did they come and tell?
They told both me and Rodney.
So that what you're telling me, Ms. Grimm, is that neither you nor Rodney were watching Michaela. Is that correct?
Yes, we were.
You weren't. Because you just said to me, 5 children came and told me that Michaela had an accident on the bike. And I said, who did they come and tell? And your friend. Which suggests to me that neither you nor your boyfriend was supervising the child when she was on the bike. Right?
Okay, you can say that, yes.
You see, you don't have to say anything yet. You're going to tell me what happened to the bike, Michaela, very fast. Tell me what happened to the bike.
I ran into the curb and then the tire wouldn't move.
Were you driving someplace where you weren't supposed to be driving?
No.
You were driving up the block?
Mm-hmm.
Had other children driven to the same location?
They drove a little farther.
Really? And who was watching you when you were driving?
Rodney.
Rodney. Where was he?
He was at the house.
Was he there when the other children were?
Yes.
Were you hurt?
No.
Miss Grimm, I'm going to ask you a couple of more questions.
Okay.
Then I'm going to end this torture. Let us say, Michaela, who was driving a motorized bike in the street. The law permits you to do that?
Yes.
How fast do they go?
Anywhere from 15 to 20 miles, I think.
15 to 20 miles an hour?
Yes.
How old are you, Michaela?
9.
Miss Grimm, let us assume that, heaven forbid, Michaela had an accident on this bike and was injured. Do you think you would be liable for her injuries?
Yes.
Why?
Well, because she was at my point.
Mm-hmm. So why in the world would you think that her grandmother is responsible for the damage to the bike?
Because she did not follow the rules, and she went further than where she was supposed to.
That was your responsibility to make sure that she didn't, not her grandmother's. When you invite children to your home to a birthday party, you become an insurer of their well-being. It is your responsibility to supervise them all the time that they're there. And if you elect to allow them to ride on a vehicle that can go 15 to 20 miles an hour, if there's an accident, you are one. Did you tell her grandmother you were going to be allowing her to drive that bike?
All the parents were aware.
Were you made aware of that fact?
No, I was not.
I asked you whether you made Miss Bynum aware that you were going to allow her granddaughter to ride this bike.
All the parents were aware.
No, you can't answer the question, Miss Grimm, by saying to me all the parents were aware. You can't tell me what they were aware of when I ask you a simple question, which is, did you tell Miss Bynum that her granddaughter was going to be using a motorized vehicle?
I told all the parents of
When
the
did
children.
you tell Miss Bynum?
Well, when she dropped the children off.
What did you tell Miss Bynum? What did you tell Miss Bynum? What did you tell Miss Bynum when she dropped off Michaela?
Well, we introduced ourselves, and I thanked her for allowing her granddaughter to come to the birthday party. I let them know that what was...
Now you let them know. I want you to tell me what you said to Miss Bynum.
I don't recall.
Miss Bynum, is anything said to you about your granddaughter riding a motorized bike?
No. I would not have left her at the party if it was.
But anyway, Miss Grimm, you are an insurer of the custody when you invite children to a birthday party. If they damage something in your home, it's your fault. If they hurt themselves when they damage something in your home, it's your fault. So you can't invite more children to a party than you're prepared to supervise properly, and I certainly would exercise better judgment than allowing a 9-year-old child to get on a motorized bike that's capable of going 20 miles an hour.
Your Honor, this is case number 24 on the calendar in the matter of Brooks versus Harrell. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated.
Mr. Brooks, it is your claim that the defendant who was in your employ somehow scammed you or embezzled you out of money.
Yes, ma'am.
The defendant said that he was working for you. He has a counterclaim. He says that you owe him money for wages. I got a few questions. You hired him, according to what I've read in your complaint, as an assistant to someone who has some sort of handicap condition. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And what is your handicap condition?
I was bedbound at the time I met Mr. Harold in 2007.
Let's go slowly.
Yes,
You
ma'am.
were bedbound.
Yes, ma'am.
In what year?
2017,
Why were you bedbound?
because I was 525 pounds in a room and board facility.
Was the state awarding you any money, any funds for an assistant?
Negative. No. I have my own money.
From what?
I've had money I've been saving up, and while I was incarcerated, I had money saved up, and I was living in a room and board.
Saved up from what?
From many years of Social Security that accumulated, plus I had money saved in Social Security back pay. that
Okay,
was
so
before.
let's go slowly, Mr. Brooks.
Yes, ma'am.
From many years of Social Security,
And
you don't look security, so you were on Social Security disability.
Yes, ma'am.
Starting when?
I've been on it for approximately 22 years.
And how old are you, sir?
I'm 58 years.
According to what I read in both the complaint and the answer, you were incarcerated.
Yes, I was.
From when to when? This last time?
February 8th of 2018, I was arrested. I was released on the 15th of December of 2018.
So you were incarcerated for approximately a year?
Approximately a year, 10 months, ma'am.
Was that the first time you've been incarcerated?
No, I've been incarcerated before.
This last time that you were incarcerated, sir, what facility were you at?
Robert Precious Department.
Were you in the hospital wing?
Yes, 7th floor medical, in my own cell.
During the time that you were there, you were on a medical unit for the entire 10 months?
Yes, ma'am. I always am.
Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And were you there pre-trial or post-conviction?
I was there from the date of arrest to the date of sentence to the date of my release.
So that you were sentenced?
Yes, ma'am.
So you were convicted?
Yes, ma'am.
Convicted. You took a plea?
Yes, ma'am.
To what?
Harassing phone calls and a threat and violation of a restraining order.
Was that the first time you were arrested on this restraining order?
Yes.
Immediately prior to this incarceration, when was the immediate time that you were arrested prior to this arrest in February of 2018?
2008, I was arrested at state prison. I went to state prison, released in 2015. I was released on AB 109 due to my medical condition. They placed me in a room board where I was living at the time. I'm Mr. Harrell.
Now, I'm going to give you, sir, unless I'm really interested in this, I would like you to tell me, in as short a period of time as possible, what money you think he took from you and how.
I submitted all the proof to you in your records, the copies of the accounts, the checks that he went and picked up from the bank under my name. He also collected 2 court judgments, Riverside, in the amount of $500 and $1,500.
$1,000. They're both
$1,500 payment.
Just a second. Don't interrupt him.
$1,500 payment was one. $500 payment was the second. That money was never provided to me either.
What money was that for, this $500 and $1,500?
I filed a small claim action against my former landlord, Wilma. I was awarded $3,800, but it was reduced to $2,000. I was in jail. Mr. Harrell went to the
what?
court. The harassing call, the threat, and the violation
No. Oh, was that against your landlord?
Negative, ma'am. That was a small claim invested against my landlord for violating numerous code violations. I sued her in court. I won the judgment, but I was in jail at the second trial de novo, which he obtained illegally. Mr. Harrell went to the court, even though I filed a motion to the court that he did not want to go pick it up. On March 1st and April 2nd, he went to the court, picked up 2
Who filed the motion for you? Who filed the motion for you?
It was done while I was out of custody. Before I got arrested, I filed
Who filed
I did, ma'am.
Personally, not with a lawyer.
No,
you personally did.
No lawyers are allowed, no.
What was the name of your landlord?
Wilma.
And what was the name that the state had against you for violation of a protective order?
That was a person named Sheila.
She was never a landlady of yours?
Negative. This was somebody that I had legal action against that works at the court that filed charges against me for violating and arresting.
Oh, no, just a second. This was another person that you filed a small claims court action against.
Court reporter.
I filed a...
Sheila.
Sheila does not matter. I filed a small claims action prior to being...
That I understand. Mm-hmm. What I'm asking you is, I asked you the name of the victim in the protective order. Sheila was a person that you had a business dealing with, a landlord, but not a social friend?
Negative.
She's a court reporter, ma'am, that he was suing because she didn't get him documents in time to appeal his eviction from the house with Castellanos.
So Sheila,
court reporter,
made an application for an order of protection because you were threatening or harassing her.
I was suing her.
That was granted.
Correct.
Just a second. That was granted. And then you were incarcerated for almost a year for violating that order of protection.
Well, along with other charges.
Just getting...
Correct, Your Honor.
Lady against whom you were successful in getting a judgment for $2,000 was the subject of that case where Sheila allegedly didn't get the minutes in time so that you could appeal. Am I getting that right?
No, that was a separate case, Your Honor. This was his illegal detainer case. Yeah, the legal detainer case is the case that she was the court reporter for, and because she didn't give him the report in time, his lawyer, which was the free clinic.
The transcript.
Yes, he couldn't appeal his case, therefore he was evicted.
When I was evicted, I took legal action against me.
And the person who evicted him was the person against whom he got this other eviction.
So that was the only eviction that I was involved in.
That was the only one?
Correct.
Okay. Now, you were working for him. Did you have an hourly wage, or did you do just
It was just like a per
job?
A per task, right? Per task, I would get paid approximately $200 to $300 per task, whether it was filing paperwork for him or actually appearing on his behalf in court. Those were always like $300 to cover for the time and the travel.
How many times did you appear in court for him?
I lost track. Over approximately half to a dozen times. Most of the time it was just small claims. When he got incarcerated, that's when I tried to tell him that I didn't really want to be involved with his criminal actions because I wasn't trying to. So that's where we're at.
Now, did you get from the court $2,000,
Correct.
$500, and $1,500?
It was $1,000 payments in 2 installments.
$1,500 and one for $500.
Your Honor, I received the checks, and I was there at the hearing when they issued the amounts for the check.
And they were
$1,000 each.
$2,000.
Correct.
Now, on what date did you get that $2,000 check?
The first payment was
those two.
Yes, March 1st, I believe.
3/1 of this year?
Of 19?
18.
Don't ask him.
I don't remember. Your
Don't
Honor.
ask.
So 18. March 1st.
Was he incarcerated to be March of 18?
Yes.
So that's $1,000.
Correct.
And when was the second check that you got?
April 2nd.
Of 18.
Correct.
What did you do with that money?
I took it to his bank. I took the checks to his bank like he instructed me to. That's all I ever did when he had money that he needed deposited was I took it to the bank and they handle it.
And you made a deposit in his name?
I just gave it to the clerk. I don't physically do any deposits. I just give them. He already arranges it.
Well, you have to. You can't just hand them. Just a second.
Go ahead.
You can't just walk into a bank and hand them a check. There are little cubby holes.
Yeah.
You take out a slip.
I understand.
Or you have a slip already prepared.
He had
and
the
you
bank
hand
do that.
And they
do that prior to my arrival. They handled all that stuff for him.
What's the name of the bank that handled this stuff for
Well,
him?
it's no longer in business because he sued them, and I guess they folded up shop. That's the best that I can determine.
What bank? What is the name of the bank?
I don't know the name. It's out
What
of
was the
business.
name of your bank, sir?
My bank was First National Bank of Southern California, ma'am.
And he sued them
Did you sue them?
Yes, ma'am.
Shh.
I'm sorry.
Did you sue them?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have a lawyer?
No, ma'am.
Did you sue them over this money?
I sued the tellers, but the thing is, there was no deposits made to my account at all.
Mr. Brooks.
Yes, ma'am.
In what year did you sue the bank?
It's still
It's ongoing?
Yes, ma'am. Because they tried to get restraining orders
And
against
that,
me.
just a second, that case against the bank is still ongoing.
It's not
Is
against
that
the
what you
bank,
just
ma'am.
said to
It's
me?
against the bank employees, a couple of bank employees that were violating the credit union or policies. But they're trying to get a restraining order to this day. It's still ongoing on that.
Did it have anything to do with these
Negative.
deposits?
No, nothing at all, ma'am. There were no deposits to the bank.
How many lawsuits have you filed within the last 3 years?
Total of 5 in 2 counties.
It's not true.
Total of 5?
Yes, ma'am.
In the last 3 years?
Yes, ma'am.
In the last 8 years, how many lawsuits have you filed?
I can't even answer that, to be honest with you. I've had different types of suits.
Shh. I'm just asking.
I can't
You just
tell you
told
that.
me in the last 3, one of which you were incarcerated. So in 2 years, you filed 5 lawsuits. Prior to being incarcerated, for the immediate 5 years before you were incarcerated, how many lawsuits did you file?
I can't tell you that, honestly. I could say probably in the last 5 years, 4 years since I've been out of custody, maybe 5 or 6, to be honest with you. I can't really remember. I don't keep track of that.
I said prior to you going to jail. Prior to.
Probably 4 to 5, ma'am. I don't have the exact amount.
Mr. Harrell, you started to do work for him in 2017?
Correct, January.
Prior to that, do you know Brooks had filed?
No clue whatsoever. I didn't even know anything about his legal issues until 2018 when he...
Well, I'd like to know how you met him.
I worked for a cab company known as AA and then Empire Cab, which they're still in business, but they mostly do non-emergency medical transport now. I got a random call from a customer, which was turned out to be Mr. Brooks. I want to say it was approximately around the 10th of January, 2017. Never had any prior dealings or information about him. I learned a lot in the years while taking him from other drivers. But his first call was come to his house. He handed me his debit card.
Okay, I got it. That's how you became involved with him.
Correct.
Now, his account.
Less than half a dozen.
And he got out of jail in December of 2019.
18,
Or
ma'am.
2018. When, for the first time, did Mr. Brooks accuse you of taking money
Never.
from him?
Never. Not until he tried to serve me, I guess, in March, but I never looked at the paperwork.
March of 2020?
I believe so.
Or March of 2000?
Of 20.
Mr. Brooks,
Yes.
you got out of jail almost 2 years ago. When, for the first time, did you ask Mr. Harrell for an accounting of any of this money?
I've always...
Never.
Can you answer? Asked for an accounting numerous times. I've also requested the county of Riverside to get an accounting. He will not give receipts for nothing to nobody. He tells people what they need. I give him my debit card for whatever service he asks for, and he swipes the card, and he puts it in my PIN and my code.
All right. Mr. Brooks, when you got out of jail in December of 2018, did you continue to use Mr. Harrell's services?
Not at all. He wouldn't even pick me up from jail to take me back to my room and board.
So is what you're telling me you have not seen Mr. Harrell from the time you went to jail until today?
No, I did not say that. I said I've not used the service up on me or tried to block my number. So I have asked him numerous times for receipts or accounting and the money.
No, I'm not asking you receipt or accounting, Mr. Brooks. I'm not asking you receipt or accounting. What I'm asking you is whether Mr. Harrell has done any work for you, any of these small jobs,
Negative.
Since you got out of jail.
Nothing. He refuses.
Is that correct, Mr. Harrell?
That's absolutely incorrect.
Well, when was the last time you did a job for Mr. Brooks?
The last correspondence officially that I have with him, where I'm actually still doing stuff for him, which was basically just doing either court documents, like affidavits for him, or actually showing up in court. The last refusal that I have for him in an email.
All I want you to do is show me some evidence, Mr. Harrell, that Mr. Brooks, who is clearly litigious, has used your services since he's out of jail.
As of September 16, 2019, he's still trying to get me to do services for him when I emphatically tell him. You know, he keeps sending me documents. Okay.
Just
it's
don't
down
say
here,
anything.
Your
Let
Honor.
me read this.
This is my statement to him.
I see it.
Okay. Need me to work on his behalf. And I
Wanting
told him,
to.
Stop. I've already told you to contact me with payment, and then we'll continue to do business after that. But he couldn't get it in his head.
Wanting him to do work is one thing. Doing it is another.
I appeared at least 2 or 3 cases between the time of him being incarcerated and the time that I told him that I'm refusing to do work for like to send
Just
me
a second.
Okay, sorry.
Okay.
Now that's September 16th, Your Honor. I have another one from the 23rd. Okay.
I want you to be quiet. I'm reading.
I'm sorry.
I'm
sorry.
Mr. Harrell wrote to you on September the 16th of 2019. Am I reading this right?
Correct.
I've asked you repeatedly, contact me by mail with a check, nothing else. Stop contacting me. What was that about?
He keeps thinking I owe him $4,500, and I don't owe him nothing. He's made a declaration to the court, and I have the statement showing he's been paid in full. I have his PayPal account screenshot and all the copies of the checks.
So, as of something else to show me, as of September 2019, which is after you were released, he's still asking you for payment. He's asking you for a check.
I don't owe him no money. I have proof.
I didn't ask you whether you were owing him anything, sir.
He's asking for money.
I said he was still asking you for a check.
Yes.
Okay, let me see the next time, Mr. Harrell.
This is the emphatic denial from him on September 23rd, where he just listed all the threats and demands for me if I was going to come after him.
You mean that was for your request to him for money?
Just and for him on email about all the factors of which he wasn't going to pay me.
Well, Mr. Brooks, this communication from you doesn't say anything about him owing you any money. You're talking in this letter about his claim that you owe him money. You don't say anywhere that he owes you money.
He does owe me the money. I have the copies of them. I'd like to submit my proof, please.
We're done. We're done. Mr. Harrell,
yes, Your Honor.
I would suggest you not do any more work for him. Do you understand?
I haven't, Your Honor.
Okay, good. And you haven't, according to this, in 2 years, right?
Approximately
you told him to leave you
June
alone.
of 2019,
right.
Correct.
So in 2 years,
Can I show my exhibits,
I suggest,
please?
Mr. Brooks, you find something else to do other than sue people. Your case is dismissed. We're done.
That's fine, no problem.
The counterclaim, Your Honor?
Gone. He left, and according to Mr. McNeil, he left some property there. He left the engagement ring there. He left a basketball hoop.
Yes, ma'am.
How much did you pay for the basketball hoop?
About $480, roughly.
$480.
Yes, ma'am.
And when did you purchase it?
May of 2015 from Walmart.
And who used it?
My son and her daughter.
Was your son living with you?
No, but he comes over visiting.
Well, so when he visited, but her daughter used it.
Yes.
So it was bought for her daughter to use and for your son and her daughter to use when your son was there.
Yes, Your Honor, but primary is for my son's use. So if I leave, I would want the room to leave. So
I don't care.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. Okay. So you left the engagement ring, the basketball hoop, and what else?
Miscellaneous tools, which I'm not concerned about because I have no pictures to prove that I left them there.
So that we're here talking about an engagement ring.
Yes, Your Honor.
You see what a fair person I am, Miss Jones?
Yes, Your Honor.
Where's the ring?
I don't have the ring, Your Honor.
That's not what listen to me. Where's the ring? We women understand each other. Yes. So I'm asking you, Where is it? I sold it. I lost it. I gave it to my daughter, put out a window. I'm asking you, where is it?
He had the choice to go upstairs and get all his belongings, and he had bought watches and rings. It was all in the drawer. He took everything he had that he wanted to take on his own. I haven't seen it since he left.
So your answer is you haven't seen the ring since he left?
Yes, Your Honor.
You were not wearing it when he left?
Absolutely not.
On what date did he leave?
April, sometime in April.
And when did you stop wearing the ring?
Like months ago. I don't wear jewelry. I never really wore it a long length of time anyhow.
Well, the ring that he bought you, when did he give it to you?
In 2014. I think I only wore it about a month because I moved with my hands, so I never wear jewelry.
Why you weren't married 2 years later?
Well, job. It takes money to get married, and
he really didn't want more money. He was living in your house anyway.
Right. But I mean, it took more than just living in my house. We take two to get married, and we just never got married because we never had the funding, and it just didn't work out. No hard feelings about that. I worked hard all my life, and
Mr. McNeil, she says that you took all of your jewelry when you left, including that watch that I assume you took, the watch that you're wearing.
No, ma'am. She talking about the watches I bought her. I never
I'm
took
talking about that watch that you're wearing.
I didn't have this watch when I was with her.
You didn't? You just bought that watch?
This is recently.
You must have had a stroke of good fortune. She doesn't have the ring.
Your Honor.
Show me proof that she has the ring.
And she said that she ain't wear the ring until 2014?
No, that's not what I asked you.
I know, so cool.
That's not what I asked you. I see it's on her. I see that's on her finger. Is that taken after you left in April?
No.
He left in April, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is that picture taken after April?
No, Your Honor.
She says she doesn't have the ring. You want
to... Your Honor, of course she's going to deny that.
That's not what I asked you, sir. She said when you left, you took all your stuff.
I didn't take everything.
Mr. McNeil, all I want to know is, sir, whether you have proof that she had the ring after you left it.
Her credibility is not reliable, Your Honor. She told me that she was divorced, which she really wasn't.
All right, Mr. McNeil, listen to me, sir.
Well, I'm saying she's lying about the ring, Your Honor.
You lived in Miss Jones's apartment. She has a counterclaim. According to your complaint, you paid $1,400 for the ring that I assume you have proof of. Do you have proof of that?
Your Honor.
Fine. You don't have to show me. You have proof that you paid $1,400 for the ring. You lived in her home.
I worked.
You lived in her home. What was the rent arrangement in her home for you?
Wasn't one, Your Honor.
You never had any rent arrangement?
That was never established.
Did you have a joint bank account?
No, Your Honor.
Well, how did you pay your share of the bills?
That's right.
I'd like to see it. How many hours a week did you work for her?
40-plus hours. It was always 40-plus, Your Honor.
Is that true?
No, Your Honor.
How many hours a week did he work at the store?
When he was working, it's about 2025, he stopped working because it wasn't working out.
When did he stop?
He worked there for about a couple months, and then we just...
Give me a month and year.
I say about August, in the summertime, August.
Of what year?
Of 2015.
And what did he do after August of 2015? Did he get another job?
No, Your Honor.
So what did he do?
He had got a job, then he stopped working, he just sat around.
Well, that's what I'm asking you. He got another job. He said he was working someplace.
He got a job, then he quit or got fired, I'm not sure, I wasn't there. And then he working in this factory. A factory, I forgot exactly what he did, but he was there a couple months, about 2 months, and then he stopped.
What kind of factory?
Your Honor,
Listen to me. What kind of factory?
I'm trying to find out the same factory, Your Honor.
Did you get a job around
No, Your Honor. I did. I worked for RTR. That was the whole purpose of this commitment that I dealt with while I was involved with Miss Jones, Your Honor.
Where are you living now?
I'm living at 16th Avenue, Your Honor.
God, how much do you pay in rent?
$350 a month, Your Honor.
Who do you live with?
I live by myself.
And you're working?
Yes.
When did you get the job?
I got the job just before, 2 months before I left her.
So you had the job 2 months. Shh. So you left her in April. So you got the job in February. Pay attention.
Not factory job, Your Honor.
I don't care what kind of job. You got the job in February.
Yes, Your Honor, but I just can't. When I get hired...
Don't. You got the job in February. You left in April.
Yes, Your Honor.
So that you weren't working 60 hours a week at her grocery then if you had another job.
No. Your Honor.
Talk to me, Your Honor. I know who I am.
You're misunderstanding what I'm saying. I did work 40-plus hours. She's sitting here lying in the courtroom, Your Honor.
Mr. McNeil, I'm going to throw you out of here. Now, I'm asking you a very simple question. You told me you got your present job, that you're working out, and still lived with Miss Jones in February and March. You didn't leave her house until April. That's in these papers. So for at least 2 months, you were working someplace other than her grocery store while you were living there.
She got compensated. She always got paid half my earnings on any job I had.
I'm throwing out your case because you're not answering my question. We're done. We're going to be done with your case. Now we're going to go to the counterclaim. Do you understand me? I asked you simple questions. You have a scenario you want to get to. The answer is you worked someplace else other than her grocery store for 2 months while you were living there. So you weren't living a time job at her grocery store. Therefore, you didn't pay any rent. There would be no reason for you to pay rent because you were working in the family business. That I understand. But when you leave the family business and go to work someplace else and are not working in the family business, February and March, how much did you pay her for your upkeep? February and March, how much did you pay her for your upkeep?
$200, Your Honor.
$200 a month?
Yes, sir.
Is that correct?
No, Your Honor.
Of course not. He made up a number. He could have said $100.
Okay.
He could have said $400.
I know I could have said that, but why lie?
Because the story has changed.
Okay.
March?
Yes, he did.
How much?
About 500.
Each month?
Yes.
You see, look at that. Look at that. She just said you gave her $500 each month in February and March. You said a couple hundred.
I ain't giving her no 500. I know I ain't giving her no 500 each month. But if she want to say that, I appreciate it.
Listen, folks, the love affair is over. The romance is over. I will say goodbye to you. Go find happiness elsewhere. She doesn't know where your ring is. And if he gave you $500 a month, which part of your counterclaim was for rent, and you just told me he gave you $500 for February and March, he gave you no. We're done. Goodbye.
Friend, mutual friend.
How long have you known him?
Maybe about a year now.
And you knew he was a mechanic?
Yes.
You were having some trouble with the car that you owned. That was a 2005?
Well, I had damage, body damage, that he also fixes.
It was just body damage?
Yes.
Had you been in an accident?
Yes.
When did you purchase the car?
August 4th, 2016.
From whom?
He's a friend, mutual friend.
Name?
Nathan.
Nathan what?
I don't know his last name.
Well, you had the title to the car, so you must have known the last name of the person.
Yes, I have it. It's on here. I have it.
What's his last name? Or take a look at the retail price of a 2005 Pontiac Grand Prix.
Nathan.
And how much did you pay, Mr. for the car in August?
$5,000.
Retail price?
$35.25.
You overpaid. Is that good condition, bad condition? What does it say?
Private party good.
Private party good. $35.25. You have proof that you paid him $5,000?
Yes.
I would just like to see proof why you paid him $1,500 more than the car is worth.
It came with extra things. It came with sounds and rims.
No. That you paid him $5,000.
I don't have proof besides that it was switched over by a notary.
Did you pay him in check or cash?
Cash.
Good. Where did you get the money from?
I got a check from a car that I had wrecked from my insurance company, so I used that.
Well, what did you do, endorse the check over to him?
No, I cashed it through my bank and gave him the cash.
So at some point in August, at the beginning of August...
I'm sorry, I said August. It was April 4th. I'm sorry, not August. It was April 4th that I purchased the car from him.
This all just happened, so it's part of the bank transaction. So you would have a transaction on April 4th for a check that you were cashing that was going to be held against your account if you got your bank account, and you're telling me that that would be for $5,000?
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
I don't have that.
They'll get it, unless you want to tell me how much you paid him for the car.
I paid him $5,000 cash.
Then you overpaid by $1,500. Now, when were you in the accident with the car?
July 17, 2016.
You dropped it off at his house?
Yes.
To fix the damage?
Yes.
On what date?
July 27, 2016.
What happened to her car?
I took the car down to my shop. I locked it up, put the keys away, and the car went missing. I don't know what happened to the car, and she just keeps harassing me about it and harassing me about it.
Just a second.
So, I mean, I think she had something to do with the car missing. I'm not sure. But for the car to be taken out of my shop was just odd to me. So I just know it was stolen. That's all I can tell you,
You
Your
have
Honor.
a police report?
Yes, I do.
May I see it, please? Mr. McCracken,
Yes, Your Honor.
do you have a drug problem, sir?
Used to, yes.
What?
Used to, yes.
Well, did you have a drug problem in July?
No, I was getting help then.
I have the landlord.
Just a second.
I'd like to speak as a witness.
Just
I used to work.
Listen to me. I didn't say yes. That the police took as a result of speaking to you say that your car was stolen and the value of it was $3,000.
Well, I looked up the Kelly Blue Book. Okay.
Listen! You had custody and control over this car, and it was your responsibility to keep it safe, in a safe condition. She gave you money towards fixing it. How much she gave you, according to this, because they spoke to you.
We got the parts.
What difference does it make if she has the parts, Mr. McCracken? If she doesn't have the car, what is she
Well, we
supposed
paid
to do?
for them, didn't we? So, I mean, at least they were paid for. I didn't take the money and go blow it on anything.
Oh, I think you probably did, along with the car.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that the help you got in July helped you. Or if it did, maybe it came a little too late for her car. Judgment for the Sort of close to you. She borrowed your car and totaled it. You want her to replace the car. What kind of car did you have?
A Honda Accord, 96.
When did you purchase it?
I purchased it at the beginning of the year, around February.
From whom?
From her daughter's boyfriend.
What did you pay for the car?
I paid $1,000.
Did you have an accident with the car?
Yes.
And as a result of that accident, was the car left undrivable?
Yes.
So I'd like you to explain to me why you think you're not responsible to replace the car that you were driving, you had an accident with. Certainly she did not have collision insurance with the car because the car is 20 years old. She paid a relatively small amount. Would you check on that? Why you don't think it's your responsibility?
Okay, so on said day that I borrowed Mrs. Sly's car, I used it and went down the road. I did have it was like a car accident. Not like I hit anybody, wasn't speeding. It was the car itself. The roads were wet and the car spun out of control.
So?
When the police arrived in the ambulance and all so forth, they explained to me that the car...
You can't tell me what anybody said. Now, you had used the car before. On numerous
several occasions, right.
On numerous occasions. She let you borrow the car on numerous occasions, and you returned the car on numerous occasions. Right. On this occasion, you had an accident with the car. So don't tell me that the car was bad, because you had used the car often before.
Okay.
You had used the car often before. Okay. Without any incident.
Without any incident.
Correct. So.
Okay. So at the accident scene.
How much does it cost?
$2,600.
And you paid $1,000 for it?
Yes, it was a used car from some guy he knew. It was yours. So
fine. It's a bargain. Judging for the plaintiff, the amount of $1,000.
Case number 385 on the calendar, Palmer Toll versus Leon.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ladies, have a seat, please.
Miss Leon, when did you purchase this house that you rented to the plaintiffs?
I purchased it in 2006, and I totally refurbished it in 2009.
Did you ever live there?
No.
So you purchased it as a rental property?
No.
For what?
For my daughter to live in. But it has many steps. She got pregnant, so I was forced to keep it and be able to sell it now.
When did your daughter move out?
She never lived in it.
So she never lived there?
No.
So from 2006 going forward, you've used it as a rental property?
Not until 2009.
So between 2006 and 2009, no one lived there?
That's correct.
And how much did you pay for it?
Approximately $600,000.
Is the house currently on the market to sell?
It is.
For how much?
$774,000.
And in what month did you list the house?
August 2015.
How many times have they shown the house since August?
Only a few. Okay. And there was where a couple of people showed up. I don't know the exact number.
Good. Now I have a little bit of a background. You signed a lease on the house in what month and year?
May 2014.
And the lease was going to be up in?
May 31st, 2015.
On what day did you move out?
We had started moving out weeks before.
Just give me the date that you, I don't care, started. As long as you had a toothbrush there, you were there. On what date did you move out of the house?
June 1st, but the last key was returned on June 6th.
So you stay there for the term of your lease?
Yes.
Did Miss Leon do a walkthrough with you?
She did not.
Did you take photographs of that?
Did not.
Did you take photographs of the house between June 1st and June 6th?
Yes.
I'd like to see them, because this whole case involves the return of your security deposit, or half of it.
Yes.
Okay, you have $4,000 security deposit?
Yes, and we got
And she returned how much to you?
$1,430.
Claiming that the rest was damages.
Damages, painting, cleaning, and pet deposit.
There was no pet deposit.
Oh, just a second. When you moved in there in 2014, it had been previously rented. Do you know to whom?
Yes, it was 5 girls that were at Occidental College.
Previously been rented as a dorm house.
A college house.
A college house.
Yes.
Miss Leon, between 2009 and 2014, the house was continuously rented, according to you. Was it always rented as a college house?
It wasn't.
Was it always rented to college students, is my question.
Yes.
So it was a college student house. And based upon what you told me, you renovated the house in 2009 and not thereafter. There's no question that you didn't renovate the house thereafter. So for 5 years, the house was rented to college kids. Right. Now you want to show me what you claim they caused their security deposit on a house that you put on the market to sell a month later? Don't raise your hand.
I want to first show you the...
No, don't show me. I asked you to show me pictures of what damage you allege that they did to the house that caused you to retain their security deposit.
Okay. There were broken tile, there's scratches and gouges on the doors.
Okay, just a second. I see the pictures, Bird.
Okay.
Broken tiles, scratches on the door. What else?
Well, filth. I mean,
Just a second. Just a second. Now I want to see. Shh, put it down. Now I want to see these broken tiles and the scratches on the door before they moved in.
Okay, I have to look a little bit for them.
Miss Leon, first of all, let me say this to you. I'm dismissing your counterclaim. And I'm dismissing your counterclaim, which says that while you returned some of their security deposit, when you got all finished, it was really more damage that they caused to the house. So you want another $3,745 in damages.
That's right.
You're not going to get it. I have 5 children that lived in college houses. I don't know how children from real nice families get together and all of a sudden they live like pigs.
I wonder that too.
Into a place that I wouldn't even use the bathroom. And they live there. You chose to rent your house for 5 years. And then when the market did an upturn, you had to do a renovation in order to show it because a realtor said to you, we're not showing this house unless you paint it, clean it up, put everything in order, and then we'll do an open house. And you say, well, the last people I had there caused this damage. Now, unless you can show me thousands of dollars in repairs that you did between 2009 and 2014 when they rented, thinking that they are supposed to renovate your house to put it up for sale, that's ridiculous. So unless you can show me thousands of dollars in repairs that you did each year that you had 5 college kids living in that house, I'm not interested in your counterclaim. You have those bills?
I have one from the last one that...
I'd like to see that, Bert. Sure. Could I see that? Could I see that, Bert?
The one. I did this every year.
Then you would have bills for every year.
And I also did not charge them for the damages that were left from the other students. And there were damages, but I didn't charge them.
Just a second. A patch paint area damage in upper part, $2 repairs exterior door entrance, $75. Repair damage to bedroom doors, $100. Repair sliding wood door, $75. Repair garbage disposal. Material needed to paint and spackle, $75. Total cost to get property in rental condition, $875. So at the end of the year's lease, where you were paying how much in rent?
$3,900 a month.
$4,000 a month. You spent $875 to get the place in condition to rent it to somebody else. Is that what you're telling me? And how much did you charge them, in addition to the $3,740 to what you already took out of their security deposit?
I had another witness that took care of it every year, and he didn't show up. I'm sorry, but okay. I have a lot of receipts of as soon as they moved in, they broke the garbage disposal in June.
Just a second. You can't tell me that they broke the garbage disposal. The garbage disposal broke.
It had broken glass in it. No.
The garbage disposal broke. On what date did the garbage disposal break?
6/26, and it was working when they moved in.
Show me that it was working.
I can't.
You understand? You're going to make a tidy profit on your house. You've had it rented for the period of 5 years. That more than paid your mortgage and more than paid. There's no question that you spent money to clean up after these young ladies, unless you have pictures of what the house looked like when you left.
No.
Do you don't? Well, this is a good lesson. You should have, because there's no question that how many girls were living in the house? 5. 5 girls living in the house. There's no question that you're no different from every other college kid that lives in the house. You have boys over, you have whatever else, and it's a disgusting pit. Which, as far as I'm concerned, she's entitled to have the house clean.
Yeah.
And if she had to spend money to clean up your mess, she is entitled to that money.
Right.
Now I want to see how much money you had in cleaning costs to hands down. Cleaning costs, the bill from somebody who came in and cleaned the house, disposed of trash and whatever it is.
This is one of the cleaning, and I had to have it cleaned twice. The first time there was so much to do in the kitchen, black mold in the refrigerator and filth on the floors.
Listen to me.
Yes.
I want the bill for cleaning. They're responsible for that.
I buried it.
That's what I need.
This is $100 to haul away broken furniture and trash that they left in the yard and in the house. And this is about the painting.
Painting I'm not interested in. They're not painting your house.
Cleaning.
Piece of paper that you just handed him.
I had to have it cleaned twice because the first cleaner couldn't get past the kitchen. It was so dirty.
Just a second. I don't want a handwritten note. I want a bill for cleaning. A bill for cleaning. You're coming to court. That's what you need, a bill for cleaning.
Well, that's what he gave me.
Well, I'm sorry. Okay. Can I see the one that you have in your right hand, Bert?
And here, this one shows the yard cleanup that was done with the cigarette butts and beer cans and beer caps that were left in the yard.
Clean house upper. Shh. Clean house upper, clean house lower, $420. Clean up backyard, deck, and hillside. What's in the backyard?
Can I make
What?
We had all, well, to the best of our ability. And when Madeline and I were going into the kitchen with bleach bottles in hand to clean the kitchen, Day came into our home and said, unexpectedly, do not clean. I'm getting a cleaning service. If you agree to pay for 50% of the cleaning, do not touch any of the cleaning service. You are not a professional cleaner. And we said, okay, we'll pay for 50%.
Do you remember that conversation?
Oh, absolutely.
Good, great.
Yes.
So that they
May I tell you what was actually said?
Absolutely.
Okay, they said that they had just started cleaning. They were already moving out. The place was absolutely filthy. I have photos I can show you.
I don't care.
And
Did you
beyond
say
what
to
they
them-
could do and we're doing, so what I said to them is, how about I have it cleaned and we share? I listed was only 50% of the cleaning that was done. And
$210. That's half of the bill that you have for cleaning.
And the outside yard.
And no. I don't like this bill that you gave me from this person. To haul away miscellaneous items, he's charging you in pen, which is written in afterwards, $100. Not interested. So far I have $210. You retain of their security deposit.
It was around $2,500 for a lot of damage, Your Honor.
Did you hear what I said?
Yes.
Not interested.
Okay.
You rented your house as a frat house for 5 years.
No.
Yeah. You don't have pictures of your house before they moved in, do you?
I do.
I'd like to see pictures of your house before. Right before they moved in, May of 2014.
We have pictures as well, Your Honor.
Great. I'd like to see
before we
them.
moved in.
She said that
You can show, just to make, you can show me yours, Miss Leon.
This is just the downstairs where I was living.
Tell me why you took these pictures.
My mother actually took those pictures, if you'd like her to speak.
You took these photographs?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is that before they moved in?
Yes, Your Honor.
Got it. You have pictures before they moved in?
I did. But I mostly brought the damage, a lot of damage. And sorry, they didn't get copied.
$1,000. You count the claims. You see, as the defendant is your former boyfriend and you claim a series of loans.
Correct.
He says he doesn't owe you any money, never borrowed any money from you. Let's start with when you met him and where he was living.
I met him in May 2014 online. And as far as him living somewhere, he said he was living with a cousin.
Did he ever live with you?
No.
Did you have a phone number for him?
Yes.
Did you ever meet the cousin?
No.
When was the first loan?
October 2014.
For what?
It was back pay rent is what he said.
Tell me about the conversation.
Basically, I had pulled $1,400 from my account from my financial aid. And during that, from my understanding, we were serious. And he stated, he stated that basically I kept spending money. So he was like, let me hold the money for you and help you save it during your semester so it can last you. And, you know, basically that, yeah. So I gave it to him to hold. 2 days later, he said he needed the money for his rent, if I can lend him the money.
Keep going. When was the next loan?
The next loan was March of 2015. And that was for the amount of $600. And that was to help him with his daughter and send money to his mother and his son.
How much had he paid you back of the $1,700?
$700.
When did he pay you back the $700?
It was by December of 2014.
So he hadn't paid you back $1,000.
Yes.
So you gave him another $600.
I did.
And then?
And then he was saying that his unemployment was supposed to be coming in, and he was waiting for that to be able to make payments to me. I guess he was working for a company called MMI, and he said that he didn't report to unemployment that he was working for them, so they were keeping his money. So he wasn't able to make me a payment. And then April, I got a title loan on my car to help him out because he was saying that he wanted to get his Class A. If he got his Class A, he would get a job and be able to help me pay everything back in full. So I did that, and it was for $1,100 for the Class A program.
And so far, in April, he hadn't given you back the $1,000 yet from October of 2014, or the $600 that you gave. Yeah, I don't think you had any expectation of being repaid as long as you stayed together.
No, that's not true. I'm a student.
How do you support yourself?
Child support and my financial aid.
How old are you?
I'm 32.
Why don't you work?
Because I'm in school full time.
So that none of the money that you gave him was money that you earned. Is that what you're telling me?
I earned it because I'm in school full time.
No. You think that they pay you a salary for going to school?
No. It's
so what I'm
financial aid.
saying to you is none of the money that you gave him was money that you earned.
I feel like I earned it. I do well in school.
Going to school is a job if you're 18. If you're 32, when you have children that you're supposed to take care of, going to school is not a job. You don't get a reward, a gold star. What I'm saying to you is the $1,000 that you gave him, or $1,700, was for financial aid. Financial aid, which somebody other than you pays for. The $600 was also money that somebody else, not you, paid for. And the $1,100 is from somebody not you paid for. If you worked for it, you wouldn't be so free with it. Yes, did you take any loans from the plaintiff?
She didn't give me no loans. All the money she gave me was like gifts, I guess.
Yeah, because you're so terrific, right? Who were you living with? Just for my own information.
I was staying with my cousin at the time.
Who are you staying with now?
One.
And when did you go back to staying with your wife?
3 months ago.
And how long were you not staying with your wife? You think I believe a word that you just said to me? By the way, did you tell her that you were married and had a child and that you were sort of on again, off again with the wife?
Didn't come up.
Do you have any proof in writing that dates back to March, April year, wherein he acknowledges a loan?
These are from this year, but it doesn't show the date because it's a snap picture on my phone.
I'd like to see.
Okay. Here you go.
What kind of work were you doing when you said, I won't get paid till the 14th?
It's not work. It's for my school.
I don't think you had any expectation of being repaid. Your case is...
On the count in the matter of Montez versus Minor.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Mr. Montez, it is your claim that the defendant, who was your boyfriend for a period of time and with whom you were living for a period of time, assaulted you.
Correct.
That was over a year ago.
Correct, Your Honor.
And you want him to pay not only your medical bills, but punitive damage. It says that you were the aggressor in this incident. You were drunk, and he's got a counterclaim. That's for property damage, for his attorney's fees because he was arrested, and for some stolen property that he says that you took at a time, I assume, when you were in custody.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Whose apartment were you living in?
It was my apartment, Your Honor.
How long had you been living there?
About 6 months at the time.
Do you still live there?
In the same complex, but in a different apartment.
And how long were you living with Mr. Minor, Mr. Montes?
About a month, Your Honor.
How long had you known him?
Maybe about 3 months, Your Honor.
When did this incident take place?
May 30th.
The incident, because I need to ask certain questions, Mr. Minor. Did the district attorney decline to prosecute that case?
That's correct.
So there is no case pending?
There is none.
Are either of the people who are here today witnesses to this event that took place on May 30th?
My neighbor, Melissa, here, she witnessed the event, or portions of it, anyway.
And this gentleman?
No, he just helped me get my case together.
Okay. So why don't you tell me your version of what happened on May the 30th, 2009?
We were at a bar with his friends. He accused me of cheating with one of his friends. So we left. We got into a huge argument on the way home. I was over arguing with him. I told him I was going to go to sleep. In the bedroom, there's the bathroom right with the door that's open. And he's basically yelling at me, calling me names, saying this, saying that. I'm cheating with his friends. And I'm like, no, I'm not. So
Don't look down, look at me.
I went to grab my phone because we had argued before and I knew it could have, went to this. So I called my mom. I told her, Jonathan took my keys when we got into the house. We've been fighting. I might need your assistance to come get me. And after I hung up the phone with my mom, he jumps on the bed and he starts punching me. I block him with my arm. I told him to get off me. And I get up out of the bed and I put on my clothes because I was about to leave, and I call him to come get me, and he grabs the phone away from me, and we start wrestling. We're in the living room at this time. We start fighting. He punches me. He bites my arm. He starts kicking me. He's on top of me on the couch. At this time, I get him off me. I grab my phone. I call my sister, tell her to come get me, and by this time, I'm trying to get to the door, and right outside the door, there's rocks. So I take 2 feet out, and I fall to the ground because he picked up a rock and he threw it to my head.
Just a second. You got 2 steps out, and you fell.
No, I got 2 steps out the door, and I fell because he threw a rock to my head, and I fell to the ground.
Hit you in the head with the rock?
Yes, Your Honor.
And I assume that your medical reports will indicate that you had some sort of lump on the back of your head.
Yes.
I'd like to see that. That part I would like to see, where you had indications of a rock being thrown at the back of your head.
Here's the police report, Your Honor.
Just look at the police report and tell me if it indicates that an officer observed anything on the back of your head.
There's some injury marks on here.
Any on the back of your head?
Yes, Your Honor.
Good. Whether this is front or back, but let's see. It looks like abrasions. You never told the police he threw a rock at your head. You told the police that you were drinking at a bar. We came home. We started arguing because John thought I was cheating. He was lying on the bed. He jumped on me. He started hitting me and punching me. I defended myself and left the house. I threw a rock through the window after I left because I was angry. I didn't hit him with it or anything. I just needed to let off steam. How come you didn't tell the policeman that he hit you in the back of the head with a rock? That's the only dangerous instrument that was used.
I did, Your Honor, in the hospitals.
Oh, well, in the hospital room, you did not say anything about being hit in the head with a dangerous instrument. instrument. Other than punching and wrestling around with each other, which you both sort of acknowledge, the only dangerous weapon that was used, according to you, was a rock that he hit you in the back of the head with.
Why,
There's nothing in here. Maybe you fell because you were drunk.
No.
So was he. You both were drinking pretty heavily at the bar.
I wasn't. Not really.
Well, then if you came home and he told you to leave and took your keys, why didn't you leave?
Because I didn't have my car keys.
What did you go into the bedroom for? Why didn't you stay in the living room? Call your sister, call your mother and say, please come and pick me up. What were you?
Because I...
No. After he told you to leave.
Because I didn't want to fight anymore with him. I was tired.
He wanted you to leave. He took your keys, told you to leave his home.
You're right.
Should have left.
You're right. I should have.
Right. You given a reason why the district attorney chose not to prosecute this case?
They said that there wasn't enough evidence, Your Honor.
Oh. What's your last name?
George.
Miss George, are you a neighbor?
Yes, I am.
Were you at home on May 30th?
Yes, I was.
Be very careful when you knew that there was an altercation going on in the apartment.
His old place is dual walls and everything. You can hear pretty well. And because I've been in a domestic situation myself, I automatically listen out in case somebody needs help. I heard fighting going on, and I could hear movement. So I peeked outside because I could hear it was coming outside, so I wanted to make sure everybody was okay. At that point, it looked like they were just going to be arguing still. I went back to my computer. I was online with a friend. Then
You mean arguing verbally?
Verbally, yes. There's no physicalness that I could see at that point. I could hear physicalness going on in the house when they were arguing. I don't know who was doing what. I couldn't just see going on. When I went back to my conversation online with my friend, and then I heard a crash. So I looked outside, and I saw Mr. Montez reaching through the window to try to unlock the door. And at that point, you know, I was gonna call the police, but I could hear somebody was already outside, one of the other neighbors.
At the time that you looked outside, did you see where Mr. Minor was?
He was inside.
Inside?
He was inside.
So the only person outside was the plaintiff?
Correct.
Who you say he acknowledges he threw a rock through the window. Was it the window of the door where you threw the rock, sir?
No, Your Honor. There's 2 windows by the door. There's a long window about that big, longer. I threw the rock this way because I was trying to get the neighbor's attention.
You threw the rock through a window.
Correct.
That was near the door.
Correct.
And what you saw was him reaching in to try to open the door?
Correct, Your Honor.
That's a lie.
Now you want to tell me your version of these events, sir?
Yes, Your Honor. We had gone out to dinner and then to a lounge bar with a couple of my friends.
I got it. You got into an argument there. You didn't like the way he was
right.
behaving. Go.
We had been arguing. It was back and forth, and I had told him, you know what, I'm going to get friends. I called one of my friends to pick me up, and my friend didn't answer, so I said, and we continued to argue, so I had told him, well, then you leave, you know. So he didn't want to leave, and I took his keys because he was drunk. We both had been drinking. You know, I didn't want him to drive because either side, you know, either one of us could get in some sort of trouble for that. So I'd taken them, I'd put them in the mailbox outside my door so that he could leave, and if he wanted to call whoever he needed to call, and then they would be outside. I was brushing my teeth in the bathroom. We were arguing. I came out
Don't
of
look
the
down.
bathroom.
Look at me.
Sorry, I came out of the bathroom to, you know, into the bedroom to change, and he pushed me, and I believe he had. Then I told him, you need to call somebody to get you. I wasn't sure if it was his mom or his sister. He called somebody. This continued on. I, in turn, then called the police, and I actually was on the phone with the police, and I had just gone from the bedroom into the living room, and he came from behind me and hit me with something. I'm not sure what it was, and I remember falling and hitting my leg on, there's a TV stand right to the left of the doorway, and I kind of fell over that into the living room. He grabbed a chair from my dining room table, which is right there, and hit me with the chair a couple times. At that point, I went out the front door into the courtyard so that I could just be out in plain view. We were still yelling and arguing. I'm not quite sure how long that was going on. And at some point, we pushed
You had a fight. Did you ever throw a rock and hit him in the head?
No. I came back into my apartment. It has a security screen door. I locked it, and he threw a rock through my window and tried to reach in to unlock the door. The whole time, my phone was on with 911, and they heard basically everything in the entire conversation or altercation.
Police took you into custody.
Yes.
How long did you remain in custody?
It was a couple days. It was over a weekend.
Ever been in jail before?
Once for overnight.
For what?
DUI.
You got to stop drinking.
I have, actually. After this, I don't drink anymore.
That's a very good. When he was in jail, what did you take from the apartment?
Nothing, Your Honor. I took my...
What do you think he took from your apartment?
I came home and there was various CDs, DVDs, a Burberry
Nothing
scarf.
important.
Nothing important. It was
Nothing
a lot
important.
of just, you know, personal items, clothing, some that were gifts, you know, Christmas presents, things.
Now, since I don't have a clear indication from here, except that the officer said he took photographs of injuries. Do you have the photographs he took of your
I
injuries?
do not. I had called and it had been over anything.
I do.
Well, these look as if you were pretty banged up, sir. This, however, on your hand came from putting your hand through the glass door that you had just broken.
No, Your Honor, I didn't put my hand through
Yes,
the
you
glass
did.
door.
That's exactly what this is. This injury to your arm, sir, happened as a result of you throwing a rock in the window and then trying to get into the door. Look, I believe that you both behaved very badly that day. And you probably because you'd had too much to drink. Mr. Montes, just because you have medical bills doesn't mean he's responsible for them. Somebody who was the victim of an assault doesn't try to get back into the house, which is what you tried to do. You leave, you wait outside, so your case is dismissed. Now, similarly, you think you could have handled things differently that night?
Yes, Your Honor.
Good. You have a counterclaim for your legal fees for that day. He's not responsible for those. Your counterclaim's dismissed. You haven't seen each other since? Cunningham, you and Miss Jenkins were neighbors, and according to what I read in your complaint, the defendant was having a difficult financial time, was forced to sell her condo and sell many of her possessions. You went over to the yard sale that she was having and put a deposit down on several items.
Yes.
And the understanding was in her home until she was ready to move, and then you would pick them up. When you went to pick them up, she wanted her money, and then at that moment when you gave her the money, she said, you have to take all of the items that you purchased, not just pick and choose, because you told me that you wanted 4 items, now you just want 1.
No.
Now, she refuses to give you back the money that you gave her as a down payment, and she sold the property to other people. So far, is that correct? Did you sell the property to other people?
Other people did come to look at the, yes, Your Honor.
Did you sell
yes,
the
Your Honor.
property
yes,
that
Your
she
Honor.
put deposits on to
yes,
other
Your Honor.
people?
Yes, I did. Yes, Your Honor, I did.
Okay, so those 2 things are correct.
Yes, Your Honor, they are.
You want your deposit back?
Yes.
Okay. Now, what items did you sell to other people that she had given you deposits on?
I sold the tall boy, the TV.
TV?
Yes, the DVD player, and the furniture stand. Thank you.
What furniture stand?
There was a stand that was a piece of furniture that held the TV and the DVD player.
Okay, so it's just a tall boy, the TV, and the DVD with stand.
Right.
And how much did you sell her those items for?
$800.
And how much a deposit did she give you?
$231.
I can explain it.
Well, explain it to me.
I had $40, and I purchased some shoes, and there was a remaining balance of $31, which I left it for her as a deposit towards the tall boy. The tall boy was $200. It wasn't $100. She was selling it for $200. So I gave her $31, leaving a balance of $169. So she called me.
You're talking very fast. 3 items at the same time?
No. On the 3rd, I gave her the deposit for the tall boy.
Which was $31?
Yes.
And DVD?
On the 9th.
On the 9th of April?
Yes, for $200.
And when were you supposed to pick them up?
At the end of May.
And all the items together were $800?
Well, yes, 800 and change.
And did you, in fact, tender to her the balance?
No, because on the 22nd, she had called saying that she now needs the money that day at 6 p.m.
That I read.
Okay.
She needs the money. So did you get her the money?
Yes, I came.
How much money did you get to her?
The whole thing for, let me see, 7, 8, like 900?
No, it was $800 for all 3 items.
Right.
That's what you said, correct?
Your Honor, it was 4 items that she was supposed to pick up.
Well, the TV, DVD, you said 3 items, but you said there was also a stand that was too bad. You said that all those items were $800.
Yes, ma'am. There was another dresser with mirrors that was supposed to go also. The reason I gave her such a good price was because she was buying 4 items.
Miss Jenkins, did she come to give you money on the 22nd?
Not all
How
of it.
much did she give you?
We didn't get a chance to exchange.
Tell me what she said to you.
She came over and she told me she wasn't buying the dresser with the mirror on it. I said that the reason that you got the prices marked down was because you were buying 4 pieces, Evelyn. And Evelyn told me that she didn't want them. She only wanted the TV and the tall boy at this point.
You have to give her deposit back.
But it's because it's for the whole... That's the
Listen
way
to me very carefully.
Yes, Your Honor.
I asked you at the beginning of the case. I started with you. I said, what items did she put a deposit down on? Listen to me. And what you said to me was 3 items. Tall boy, TV, DVD. And then you said, but there was a 4th thing, a stand that they put the TV and DVD on. But you said to me 3 things. Okay. I said, how much was it? You said to me, $800. right? That's the way we started this case.
Okay, Your Honor.
Now, you sold the things to somebody else.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yeah. And you gave her...
Now it's case number 575 on the calendar in the matter of Kunawongs versus Kunawongs.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Judge parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have a seat.
Tell me your first name.
Brittany.
Brittany, this is your mom.
Yes.
And I think it's unfortunate that you had to get to this point over this issue, which is probably a relatively simple one. You were in an accident years ago, and you got a settlement. Your parents put this, you turned 18. You want the money.
Correct, Your Honor.
And you asked for the money when you were how old?
I asked for the money numerous times. The first time was a couple days before my 18th birthday. My mother said that she couldn't access the funds at the time, and since she said she couldn't, I left it at that. After being kicked out of my house in July of 2008, I knew that the account was going to be up of November 21st, 2008. I then gave my mother a phone call, and she wouldn't talk to me, so I got on the phone with my dad, and I asked him and told him the situation, that I needed that money to go back to school, and because they had kicked me out with nothing, I had no clothes, nothing.
Okay, that was over boyfriend.
Yeah.
Now in 2011, what happened between 2008 and 2011?
After I had talked to them and, you know, they weren't going to give me the money, I then found out later on that I could actually take her to small claims court, and that's when I had done that.
Okay. How much money is now, according to your records, in that account?
The account has been closed, so I have no idea where the account is.
What was your settlement?
$3,624.44.
Okay. You explain to me now why your daughter is not entitled to the settlement money.
My daughter had a full scholarship to college. She was being financially supported by us after she graduated high school. 25, as with the other settlements for the other children, because she was being financially supported.
Just a second. Where did it say that you were allowed to hold this money until she was 25?
That was something that we had just discussed, because we didn't want her to use this amount of money just to go on a shopping spree. We wanted her to use this amount of money for something that she needed, something important. And then she started seeing this boyfriend who is much older than her, and she started sneaking out of the house.
Just a second. Is what you're telling me that you're not turning over the money to her because you don't approve of her choices?
In a sense, yes.
Well, you can't do that. This is a legal situation. It's not an emotion.
I understand that. It's really hard to finance somebody who hits my daughter. She's moved
Your
back
Honor,
home.
that's incorrect.
Shh. Don't interrupt your mother. What I'm telling you is this is a legal issue. It's not an emotional issue.
I understand. Our reason at the time was because we could just didn't
approve
see
of her
ourselves
choice.
doing that. She's been in urgent care. We've gone to their apartment because she called that he hit her. She changes her story. She's moved back home twice. And she never asked for the money except for November of 2008 because she was aware of our intentions. We did financially support her. She didn't need the police set to fund her school funds.
What I'm telling you is it's a legal issue.
I understand it's a legal issue, but it's, you know, my daughter hasn't been safe. You know, I haven't seen her in a year. I haven't been this close to her in a year. And I'm this far from a man who lays hands on her.
Just a second. Listen to me.
I understand.
Listen to me. The money isn't going to make any difference.
I understand.
I just want you to understand that. If she's going to make the wrong choice, and that's not for me to determine, this is a court, I deal with legal issues. If she's going to make $124 is not going to help her make better choices. Somehow, if you haven't seen her in a year, she's been surviving. It looks like she's been eating, takes care of her hair, takes care of her clothes, takes care of herself. And you can't do that on $3,600 a year.
Yes, I understand.
So somehow she's been taking care of herself and doing whatever she has to do to get by and get along. Legally, this is her money, so you have to turn the money over to her. And sometimes children make choices that are inconsistent with the choices we would make.
Yes.
All you have to do is maintain power so that they know that they make a bad choice, they have the ability to come home.
Absolutely.
Your parents don't sound like they're bad people.
No, they're not, Your Honor.
Is this the boyfriend?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Does he work?
Yes, he does.
Does he support the family? Does he support you?
Yes, Your Honor.
And what are you doing?
I just finished school yesterday, so I will be a medical assistant at a family planning clinic in Glendale.
Good for you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All I can tell you is your mom says that this young man had at one time, at least in your relationship, not been a good mate. Maybe that's resolved itself. I certainly hope so.
Yeah, it is, Your Honor.
He's looking at me that you don't have the right to put your hands on.
Oh, Your Honor, can I clarify that? Because he hasn't. If anything, I mean, from the beginning, the only person who's laid hands on me for the past 2.5 years has been my mother. When I first got kicked out of the house, there was a physical altercation. Like any young relationship, there is problems. We do argue, but, you know, at the end of the day, we both love each other, and he's been there for me when no one else has. And he's supported me and encouraged me to go back to school and stuff.
Well, that's great. And if it works out, that's wonderful.
Thank you.
But you can have lots of boyfriends and you can have lots of husbands. You
Yes,
only
I
have
know
one
that.
set of parents.
I understand.
Got it?
Yes.
Okay. So
And
now
Your
you're
Honor,
here.
too, is that one was just in the hospital, very, very sick. He was very close to her. We've never told her, don't call us, don't visit, ever, ever. My phone call that I got from her a year ago was, you don't need to worry about me anymore. I'm 20 and I'm done. And he could die. He could die. And she...
Your Honor, she
we
has
don't
a
even
way
know.
of getting a hold of me. If she wanted to reach out, she could reach out as well.
It doesn't do any good. Listen to me. After a while, the recriminations don't serve anybody. She could have, she should have. You're here in the same space. You're here in the same quarters. You haven't seen each other for a year, it would seem to me. You know, life is short. If you end up with this young man, and it sounds to me as if you've done fine, you went to school, you graduated, which is all wonderful. I'm sure that you feel bad that one of your siblings was ill, that you didn't know about it. You think that your mother should have called and let you know about it. She may have been stubborn. You may have been stubborn. You know, life is short. Get over it. Get over it. Okay, that's all. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of 30. Mr. Brooks met last summer, and shortly thereafter, according to your complaint, you and Mr. Brooks decided to rent an apartment together, correct?
For the most part, yes.
What's wrong with what I said?
I mean, it was pretty much her idea to get that apartment, you know.
Well, you do have your own ideas, right?
Right.
You have free will.
I just was going along with...
You're going along with it.
You know.
So you decided to rent an apartment together. You went along with the idea.
Right.
And you moved into this new apartment when?
Like September the 15th.
And did you sign the lease?
I did.
And when you signed the lease, were you obligated to pay any rent?
No.
So the landlord was giving you the apartment for free?
I wasn't supposed to pay no rent. It was just supposed to be on Miss Reed, you know.
Okay.
That's
so
what
she used to live there?
Right.
Do you know how much the rent was?
The rent was like $700 a month.
And what kind of work did Miss Reed do?
She worked at like a store or something like that, at the mall.
Is that right, Miss Reed?
Not at the time of us moving in, no. But I shortly found a job after we moved in November. I started working.
Well, what were you doing before that?
Nothing. I was a full-time student. I didn't have a job.
How did you pay the rent?
I had money left over from an accident that he got into in my car for the settlement of my car value.
And how much did you get from the settlement from the car?
A little over $2,000.
What kind of work do you do, Mr. Brooks?
I don't work.
Well, why not?
I'm a...
You do? Great. Where do you go to school?
McNally Smith College of Music in Minnesota.
How long have you gone to school there?
3 years.
How old are you?
22.
How much aid do you get for going to the school?
I mean, I get loans and grants to pay for school, but that's about it.
Well, what do you get to live on?
I only get like maybe $1,000 every semester for living expense. The rest of it's for school. I pay like 22 grand a year to go to school.
And who do you live with?
I got my own apartment.
How do you pay the rent?
I get a stipend from the county to pay my rent.
I'd like you to tell me about that stipend.
I mean, I get like $437 a month to pay my rent. You know what I'm saying? From the county, you know.
$437 a month from the government?
Yeah.
Which government?
The Ramsey County aid office. That's where I live in St. Paul. You know, they got an aid office when you can't find no job and you're a student. They give you money to live on, you know what I'm saying? If you already got your own apartment, you know what I'm saying? They give you money to live on a month just because you're a student.
Well, if you were getting money, why didn't you give Miss Reed any money for rent?
Because our agreement was that I didn't have to pay any rent.
What I'm asking you is if it's for you free money, which is what it is, free money for you.
I mean, so we want to pay her.
I'm paying attention to what I'm saying. If the county was giving you free money and it was for rent, why weren't you giving that money toward living with Miss Reed?
Because she said she was going to cover it. That's why.
So what did you do with the money that you were getting?
I spent it on myself.
Right. That's what I wanted to hear. That's where I figured we were going.
Right, yeah.
So you lied to them and said it was for rent.
No.
No, I want you to follow this student, third-year college student. Listen to me. If the county is giving you money for rent and you're not using that money for rent, but using it for yourself, then you're stealing that money. You're already getting $22,000 for tuition.
I'm not stealing anything because I'm unemployed. You know what I'm saying? That's the reason that they pay you. You know what I'm saying? I ain't stealing nothing. I don't got to give her nothing.
I get it.
I can go rent a hotel with the money that they give me for living expense. I was living with her because we were in a relationship.
Mr.
You know what I'm
Brooks,
saying?
I want you to try to follow this concept, sir. Bird and I, as taxpayers, have said to young people like you, if you are in school, we will help you. We will help you with loans and aid and grants so that you can finish school and stand up and become a productive citizen. That's what Bird and I have done as taxpayers. In addition to for you to become a functional musician, what we have also said is, and we're going to help you if you don't have a job and go to school full-time, because we're not giving you this $22,000 a year for you to sit back and play your guitar. If you don't have a job to help you pay rent, we're also going to give you $450 towards rent so that you can live. It's supposed to go towards your rent. It's not supposed to go for eating out and car or insurance. It's supposed to go, this money is targeted for rent.
Right.
Do you understand? So read and sign a lease.
My conversation is rent. You know what I'm saying? Just her being around me is me paying rent. You know what I'm saying? I don't got to give her no cash. You know what I'm saying? That's what she was there for. I'm 21 messing with her. She's 30. You know what I'm saying? That's what she's there for.
We're not talking about her. We're talking, listen to me. Hey, we're talking about Bird and me. We're talking about us supporting you. Just a minute. I don't want to talk to you.
Okay.
I don't want to live with you. I don't want to look at you. I don't want to have dinner with you. I don't want to have a breakfast with you.
Listen to me. That's why I didn't pay her rent.
I don't
Ain't that why we're here?
Listen to me. You're not paying attention to me. I don't even want to. The government says I have to pay your rent. Even Officer Bird doesn't want to pay your rent. But if we have to pay your rent,
I appreciate
we don't want the money that we send to you for rent to go for anything else other than rent. That's what it's earmarked for, because you also said you get grant money and $1,000 a month, another stipend.
And
so
all
you
the
get
other
other
little
money.
chicks want to
Do
pay
you
cash
understand?
too, you know? That's what I do.
What do you do?
I'm me. You know, that's why. I'm me. That's the only reason.
That's what we're creating.
Him.
That's what we're creating.
Yeah, him. You know, that's how it goes. You know what I'm saying? Seriously, you know, I mean, I'm not finna sit here and beat the bush. You know, I don't owe her nothing.
Sending this tape to Congress.
Handle that. Handle it. Straight up.
Following, you see, so far as taxpayers, we have spent on 3 years of your education. And this is the feedback that I'm getting from you. I'm me.
I'm appreciative of you, Judge Judy. I appreciate that you've done that for me. You know, helping me better my education, better myself as a man. I appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? But that's not what we're here to talk about.
We're here to talk about whether or not you owe her rent.
I don't.
But we paid you for the rent.
Like I said, how you know what I do? I could have been going to the hotel every night, every other night. You know what I'm saying? I was just chilling with her, going to the crib and handling my business and getting gone. You know what I'm saying? Hey, you never know.
Moron. $70,000 right down the sewer. All right. Now, he moved out in January. He paid you no rent. Is that right?
Right.
Did she pay any rent? Answer that. Did she pay any rent?
Oh, great question.
Yeah.
Mr. Brooks? You know, I am an ecumenical abuser, which means men, women, it doesn't make any difference to me. Did you pay the rent from September until January?
When we moved in September, I paid the rent in
How
September.
much for September?
She didn't pay the whole rent. It was like $300. That's it.
Mr. Brooks, now you have to be quiet.
Okay.
You asked me to explore a subject. Did I explore it reasonably with you?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, so I want to see if she has a legitimate claim. Now, you understand, you don't want to get anywhere in my crosshairs with an answer that is inaccurate, Ms. Reed.
I understand.
You paid September's rent. Did you pay October's rent?
No.
Did you pay November's rent?
No, and I was ready.
You didn't pay October and November. Did you pay December's rent?
No.
Did you pay January's rent?
No.
You can't.
It's case number 567 on the calendar in the matter of Pilavar versus Mensink Armstrong.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Have a seat.
Mr. Pilamar, when did you purchase this condo?
April 10th of 2008, when I began my college career at OSU.
You purchased it to live in?
I did.
At that time. And you lived there from 2008 until when?
For 5 years, partial. I moved out in October of 2013.
Okay. Where did you move to in 2013?
A different college town to go on to law school, Your Honor.
And where did you go to law school?
Norman, Oklahoma, where
Okay.
OU is. Yeah.
And where is this condo located?
Stillwater, Oklahoma, about an hour and a half drive.
Are you back practicing in Stillwater?
I'm still living in Norman, practicing there.
So you have no intention of moving back into this condo?
No, Your Honor.
Is it your intention to continue to rent it or to sell it?
To sell it, Your Honor.
You rented it to the defendants, and they were your tenants for 3 years. And based upon, I assume, the fact that you hadn't moved to evict them, they paid their rent, albeit late, but they paid their rent. For over the 3-year period, you had no...
I had some difficulties getting rent, but they eventually paid, yes, with the exception of the amount here.
Well, with the exception of 2 months. You lived in the apartment for a month and some days without paying rent towards the end of the lease. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. What was the last day you lived in the condo?
June 4th.
Did you pay May's rent?
No, Your Honor.
And how much was your rent?
I believe it was $750 a month.
With the additional late fee because it hadn't been paid, so $800.
$750. That was your rent. Was $750 when you didn't pay May. Did you pay April?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you moved out June 4th?
Yes, Your Honor.
Your Honor, for the month of April in the amount of $522.
Do you have proof that you paid April's rent?
I couldn't find the receipt, no.
Okay. How did they send you the if they owe $500, that means that they sent you $250.
They would pay it in a series of Western Union money orders every month, and
in April was how much?
They paid for everything but $522 of what was due, so without having a calculator in front of me.
In April?
Yes.
And you paid your rent by money order?
Yes.
That's $1,272. Then the other thing that you're suing for, because you're suing them for $5,000 because it's your claim that they were destructive of the property, primarily had to do with cats.
That's correct, Your Honor.
How many cats did you maintain in the house?
When we moved out, we had 4 cats, Your Honor.
How many did you have at one time? The maximum number of cats you had at any one time was how many?
There was 14 when the cats had a litter, Your Honor.
Just a second. In what year?
In 2016, Your Honor.
What month in 2016?
I believe between January to...
I believe March.
March.
How long did you keep them?
It all varied. We were finding homes for them the moment they were old enough.
How long did you keep them?
I would probably say at the max was about 4 months.
Okay. You were permitted to have a maximum of 3 cats in the house?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
He said that he did not mind that there were more as long as we kept the place clean, and we did.
Just a second. Let me explain something to you about a contract. This is a written contract that you both signed. Anything outside of this contract that's oral is irrelevant. If you are going to modify the terms of a written lease, you have to modify the terms of your written lease in writing. Do you understand? That way we don't have confusion, because this says 3 cats. And if you wanted to increase the number of cats and you spoke to your landlord and your landlord said, I'm okay with that, then you say, well, we put that in writing and we'll both sign it. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you ever give them permission to have more cats?
No, Your Honor, I did not.
The reason that all this started is because he started to get calls, and I know that this is not particularly relevant to this case, that your house was smelling from cats. 14 cats creates a smell. You know that. And what he's saying now is, and I was actually unsympathetic until I heard you had 14 cats for 4 months, that it was practically impossible to get the smell out of the condo. Do you have any photographs?
Your Honor.
I'd like to see them.
I have here 3 separate exhibits. One is the house in the prior condition, which I actually found off the defendant's Facebook page. The second tab is their Facebook picture showing their cats, and the third is all the damage of the house.
So is what you're telling me that the first group of photographs is photographs that you got from their Facebook page?
Of the original condition, they posted them when they first moved in.
Okay. That look familiar?
Yes, Your Honor.
I had a lot of cats.
So those might be less pertinent then.
You have any photographs of the house you want to show me?
We lost the photographs when our phones fried, unfortunately.
Want to look at these photographs?
Yes, please.
Let me tell you this. Usually I'm unsympathetic with a landlord who rents to people for 3 years. And there's usually normal wear and tear that you accept when you have people who live in your house. Some renters take care of property as they would take care of their own property. And some animals, it was a violation of your lease. And this condo, based upon these pictures, demonstrate a beautifully well-maintained, clean, immaculate condo. Those are the pictures that you posted of the place when you first moved there. The maggots and flies that are a direct result of having 14 pets caused him a great deal of damage to his property. You can't do that in violation of your lease. You cannot do that. It's unacceptable.
Your Honor, as far as the damages go, whenever we left, we only noted a little bit of scratch damage to the carpet.
Okay.
We spent
Very good.
almost a week cleaning.
Well, it wasn't enough, sir. Requested $5,000. You were living in this apartment building prior to Miss Arnold moving in.
Yes.
How long have you lived there?
I've lived there now for a year and 9 months.
And when did you move in, Miss Arnold?
October 19th of 16.
It is your claim, Mr. Wade, that the defendant filed a false restraining order against you.
Yes.
Also false police reports and harassment, alleging that you were conducting a drug business out of your apartment.
Yes.
Those allegations are false.
Yes.
And you had to hire an attorney. The name of the attorney?
It's Pete.
And you have his bill?
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
Let's see right here.
Do you have any paperwork from this lawyer?
No, ma'am. I've been dealing with him since I was 18. That's all he gives me is those receipts.
You've been using him since you're 18?
Yes.
What's his phone number?
It's in my phone, actually.
Get it.
Well, actually, it's not going to be in this one. It's going to be in the phone I just dropped in the hot tub last night.
Well, let's go outside and get his number. Look up information. Peter, where is he located?
He's located in Toledo, Ohio.
Okay, Peter, attorney at law in Toledo, Ohio.
Yes.
You don't mind if I call him, do you, sir?
I don't mind.
Well, this is the problem. Mr. doesn't really remember.
Yes.
Doesn't remember you. Doesn't remember the case, which he usually doesn't do. But he was just leaving a meeting, a court, and he was going to be back in his office in 20 minutes.
Okay.
He gave me his cell phone number, which I have.
Okay.
And I'm going to call him back because he says there is a receipt book for those clients that pay in cash.
Yes.
He said, is there a number there? I said, yes. So when I call him back, I'm going to give him the number, which is in his desk, because he has the whole book. Or not, there's a corresponding number. So, Mr. Wade, what I don't like is people to waste my time.
I'm not here to waste your time.
Just a second. I don't mind waiting the 20 minutes. But when Mr. calls me back, if this is something that he never got or never gave you, that's not going to look good for you. You understand that?
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yes.
So this is what this case is about. You claim that your neighbor filed a false protective order against you, claiming that you threatened her and that you sell drugs out of your apartment, that people are coming in there all hours of the day and night. What you claim is that in order to make some extra money, you sell out of your apartment.
I run a
There's
carry.
And the people in your building are real happy that you are sort of a local grocery store so that they don't have to go to the grocery store, so they come to your apartment, and it's just to make some extra dough.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
We have a lot of elderly in our building.
Just a second. I got what your story is.
Okay.
The defendant says she filed this order of protection against you because when she reported the activity to the police, you threatened her. That's what she says.
No.
It's odd activity. I mean, I've lived in apartment houses a good deal of my life. I lived in apartment houses in Brooklyn. I've lived in apartment houses in Manhattan. And believe me, where I live, there are a lot of old people. Nobody ever decided to make an extra couple of bucks by selling juice boxes and candy and milk and eggs out of their apartment.
Well,
now, by the way, do you have, I assume if you sell these things out of your apartment, that you buy them in bulk so that you make money?
I have a vendor's license.
Okay. I'd like to see, do you have to bring some of the bills for that stuff?
No, I think I have my vendor's license.
I don't need your vendor's license.
I got pictures of, like I said, I run a carry-out out of the building. I didn't start the carry-out. It was already a carry-out there before I moved into the building. The older ladies didn't want her. I asked permission from my building to continue on with the carry-out. I've been doing this now for, like I said, I've lived there a year and 9 months now. I've never had no problems, no accusations made of a drug dealer.
Tell me
or
about the approval that you got to have this grocery store in your building.
Okay.
Who did you get it from?
From my manager of Madonna Homes. Yes, the manager of Madonna Homes, which is my
name
apartment
is?
buildings. Her name was Troy.
Full name?
Troy.
Phone number?
It's 419. Now, our new manager Our new manager that we just got, she knows I run a carry-out.
I asked you who gave permission.
Troy.
Okay, now, I'm going to call. Miss Arnold, what makes you think, in your head that Mr. Wade is running an illegal business out of his apartment?
Because there's people coming in all hours of the night after the people leave their office.
Are these young people or old people?
They're people from off the street. We don't even know who they are.
Ma'am, you can't get in my building without checking in an ID. And the only people that's ever been to my building that comes from the outside has been my brothers and sisters. Yes, I have customers from across the street in the other complex building that they open up in the day room. So it's not like I'm running it all out of my apartment. I open up in the day room downstairs from 4:30 until sometimes 11 o'clock at night. After that, they do know that they can come to my door till 1 a.m. I stop the store. I don't even be there at night. I leave after that.
You leave to go where?
I leave and go stay at my fiance's house for the night.
So is what you're telling, just a second. So is what you're telling me that you run a commercial operation, you don't even live in the apartments, you maintain the apartments. Hey, listen to me very carefully. I'm trying to get the whole. Now what I'm getting is you took over this little general store that was in the building. Yes. In order to do that, you had to live in the building, but you really don't live in the building.
I live there.
No. That's not what you said. You said, I'm not even there after 1 o'clock at night. I go to my fiance's house.
I go and stay the night at her house, ma'am.
That's exactly what you just said to me, Mr. Wade. I have a very good memory. Oh. So you maintain an apartment there, you live with your fiance, and you sell sodas and drinks and stuff out of a day room. And when the day room closes at 4:30, people can come to your apartment until 1 o'clock in the morning, and then you leave your apartment. And you're telling me the building complex gave you permission to do that?
Yes, my vendor's license hanging right on me.
Don't tell me what she told you. That's hearsay.
Okay, if I was to take over the carryout, that I had to maintain within their hours. Their hours are 8 a.m. until 10:30. I maintain between their hours. I'm not always running the carryout, ma'am. I may open it up Monday, probably won't open it Tuesday. I mean, like, I don't bother nothing.
Why don't you call the city and have... What city do you live in?
No, she actually does.
What city?
I live in Toledo, but, Your Honor, I didn't call the city. The city has been on that building for a long time because of all the drugs being in there.
Your Honor, this woman has called the government on our building. She's called our building.
It's not your building. You don't live there. You carry on a commercial enterprise there.
I live there.
No, you don't live there. You just swore to me that you don't.
She just now got her apartment, ma'am. Since she has got her an apartment, I stayed the night.
I cannot wait to speak to Mr. Okay, we're going to recall this case.
Judges, a recall of case number 562 in the matter Wade versus Arnold. Parties are reminded you're still under oath.
Okay, Mr. doesn't know, and Mr. says that this number on the receipt does not come from his book.
I don't know how is that possible. I've been dealing with this same man
Mr. Wade,
for the longest.
I just spoke to the man.
Okay.
I know that you tried to call him too.
Yes, I did.
I know you did, because then you figured out that his name was, and you managed to find the number. Look at you. But wherever you got this from.
From his office, ma'am.
You didn't get it from him, nor did you give him $1,350.
Okay.
Okay, so your case is dismissed. We're done. Listen to me very carefully. I'm going to ask you, and I haven't been able to reach the building manager. So, do you have a lease there?
I'm getting evicted right now because he went down and took the lawsuit down to the people, and I have nowhere to live.
That's a problem.
Yes.
That's a problem. I can't help you with that.
I know that.
So you're no longer going to be in the building?
No, I'm just going to leave.
Good.
Yeah, this is case number 32 on the calendar, the matter Wheeler versus Johnson.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Have a seat, please.
Ms. Wheeler, the defendant is your former boyfriend. It is your claim that he owes you for two things. One, a loan that you extended on his behalf for a divorce lawyer, and the other for bail that you put up on his behalf.
That's correct.
Mr. Johnson says that there is no way that you owe him money for the divorce lawyer. It was your idea. You wanted him free. You paid the lawyer. And with regard to the bail, I'm going to hear his explanation. I'm more interested in your explanation. So, you are dating a married guy.
Separated.
Married.
Correct.
And this married guy, you have children with your wife?
Yes, ma'am.
How many?
One with that wife.
Did you say one?
One with that wife, yes.
How many wives do you have?
I have 2 ex-wives.
How old are you?
34, ma'am.
And how long were you married to the second wife?
8 years, ma'am.
When did you and your ex...
08.
And when did you and Miss Wheeler come together?
We started talking around June of 08, but we didn't become boyfriend and girlfriend until August of 08.
And when did you get this divorce lawyer?
It was December of 08.
When did you get the money for that lawyer?
When she put it on her credit card.
Did you ever pay her back for that?
I didn't pay her in full, no. I was supporting her while we were together. She didn't have a job, so I was paying all the monthly bills.
Okay. And when did you separate, two of you?
We separated in May of 2010, or 2011, excuse me.
Where were you working from June of 08?
I was in the United States Army at that time.
Period.
I was not working.
So Mr. Johnson is correct that he supported you?
Yes, for 11 months.
No, from August of 08 until May of 2011.
I'm sorry, no, that's incorrect. 2009, I got a job.
For how long?
Well, I've been working ever since then.
Where?
I was working at Hartford Bank, and then I also got a job at General Physics on Edgewood Proving Grounds. So I was working at the bank part-time and my full-time job.
So she was working part of the time?
Correct, ma'am.
And part of the time, for a year, he supported you?
Correct.
Okay. And it was during that time that he was paid?
Correct, but he was the one that told me and my mother that I did not need the work because I was staying home and I was taking care of the household chores, cooking, cleaning, and doing all that.
So what?
I know. I was going to get a job 3 months after I lost my job, and he told me that he didn't want me to work.
Is that what you told him?
That's incorrect, ma'am.
Ridiculous. Ridiculous. Not interested in this 4-year-old Bill, Miss Wheeler. Now let's get to the bail. When did Mr. Johnson, month and year,
Your Honor.
when, forget the 4-year-old divorce bill, madam. I'm not interested in it. It's ancient history. Let's move on. When you and your brother?
March 2009.
Were you injured?
No.
Was your brother injured?
No. The defendant put a gun on him, a loaded gun.
And what did he do to you?
He slapped me on my wrist when I went to turn the fan on.
When you what?
We were arguing, and I didn't want to argue, so I was going to go to bed. So I went to turn the fan on, and he slapped my hand when I went to turn the fan on. And I said to him, please don't, or I said, don't put your hands on me. And my brother ran up the stairs, and he pulled a gun on my brother.
That's not how it went down, ma'am.
Nah.
Not at all. We were arguing, and I was trying to talk to her, and she was trying to turn the fan on. So, yes, I did slap her in the room. Now, I was a month out of neck surgery, so I had a neck brace on, no way to defend myself. My .45 pistol was laying behind me. Her brother came at me, threatened me. So I pulled the gun. I never pointed at him. I just had it in my hand. He moved out of the way. I left the house. She called the cops as I was going out the room. I knew she was on the phone with him. I did leave, but I came back. There's no sense in running. They're going to find me eventually. I came back, and I told the police officer that was standing outside my house, you're looking for me. And I went to jail for first degree and second degree assault overnight. It was about 1 o'clock in the morning when they took me in, and she picked me up around 7:30 the next morning.
Did you call her from jail?
I did. I have one. Put me in here, you get me out. I do not have the money to get myself out. I'm in the Army. I don't know what else to do. I don't have family here in Maryland, and my family can't afford to get me out anyway.
So she did?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that what happened?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so you called the police. I'm trying to figure you out, Miss Wheeler. So he slapped you on the hand. That's according to you. Not a nice thing to do, but I wouldn't categorize that as an assault.
No, ma'am.
Your brother came into the room because you probably started to scream. If your brother came running up the stairs, you probably was screaming, don't put your hands on me,
Correct.
right? And what he had done was slap you on the hand because you went going to turn the fan on because you didn't want to be him off by turning the fan on. Is that what was happening?
Correct.
Yeah, right. And then your brother got frightened because he didn't know what he was doing to you, so he came running upstairs. Did he have a neck brace on?
Yes.
Yes, because he had just had what?
Neck surgery.
Right. And he left the house, picked up a gun, but left the house, right?
Yes, after I called the police.
No. Did you call the police first, or did
Yes, I called the police.
And what did you tell the police when you called the police?
I told the police that he just pulled a gun on my brother, because that is the reason why I called the police, because that scared me, because I knew it was loaded.
And then he left?
Correct.
Now, why did you go and bail him out?
Because I didn't want him to get arrested. Because of him putting his hands on me. I was strictly calling them because of the gun, the loaded gun he pulled it on my brother.
So what did you think was going to happen?
I thought they were going to take the gun from him, and because I wasn't pressing charges, I didn't think they would, but because it was domestic violence, because we were living together, and my brother said Christopher put his hands on me, it was automatically domestic violence, and state of Maryland pressed charges.
So I would have felt a little responsible, right? If I were you?
For calling the police?
Yes. And then you went and you bailed him out.
But I felt like
and after you bailed him out, you got engaged.
Correct.
Yes.
Right? After you bailed him out, you got engaged. And now you want him to pay you back the bail money.
Correct.
It's not happening. You called the police, you were frightened, should have let him stay in jail. You don't accept a proposal to marry him.
That's all she wanted.
You've been married enough.
Correct. You're right, ma'am.
You don't do it well.
No, I don't.
Find another hobby. Take up fly fishing. So this happened in 2009. So we have a 2008 divorce lawyer, and then we have a 2009 bail and a 2009 engagement. When did the engagement happen?
In 2010.
2010.
2009, December 24th, at her uncle's house.
And then we have now, during 2009 up until May 2011, did he pay you back for the bail?
That was the agreement.
No, I didn't say that was the
Yes.
agreement. That's not what he says. It wasn't an agreement. He says, you put me in here, which sounds just right to me. You put me in here, now you get me out. That sounds exactly what he would say to you. Because if he had one call to make, and if he figured that you were going to be not a receptive person at the other end, he would have called nobody, or he might have at least tried to call a family member, tried to call a buddy, tried to call somebody else. But he knew that at that time, you felt very guilty about making that call, that he was in jail. So he said, and that's what you did. You know, actions have consequences, Miss Wheeler.
He was paying the minimum payments on both the divorce and the bail the time that we were together. And then after we broke up, he made 3 monthly payments because he agreed to pay the full amount of the divorce and the bail back. I have emails, I have text messages from him.
Oh, I'd like to
I
see
agreed to help her.
No,
ma'am.
I
That was all,
like to see.
help her
I
out.
would like to see the emails where he agreed to pay them back.
The top is text and the bottom is email.
Never agreed to anything.
He also told my mother that he was going to pay them back also, because my fear was if he did not pay them back, he was going to ruin my perfect credit, which I worked hard to build up since I was 18. And he told her the same thing that he told me, that he was going to pay them both back, or all 3 cards back for the debt.
Step up. What's your last name?
Pop.
Miss Pop, tell me when you had a conversation with Mr. Johnson when he said he was going to pay back all of the divorce and bail credit cards. Tell me the date that you had that conversation with him.
I don't recall the exact date.
Give me the month and year. Month and year.
The last one would have been when they broke up, which was May of 2011.
Good. Tell me about the conversation where you were.
We were at my house. And Chris said, Mom, that's what he always called me. He said, Mom, I will not leave her with the debts. He said, you know, that he would
What
pay
other
them.
debts do they have?
No, the debts being
What other
this.
debts did they have?
None, because they lived in my house with me, so they had no other debts. He had personal debts, but the only debt she had was the credit cards and her car, and he just said he would not leave her with the credit card debts.
Ma'am, I supported her for 11 months. I paid my bills, I supported my other kids, I supported myself, her, everything. I fell behind on my child support, paying her car payments, her insurance, everything.
Okay. Now, you used a credit card to pay the divorce attorney. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And that was 4 years ago.
Correct.
In the last 4 years, was that credit card used for anything else?
Yes, a BG&E payment that he was behind on that was like $400, an AT&T bill that he was behind on that was like $225, and I do have all that paperwork.
So you put no other purchases on those other than for what you...
There were some, we did Christmas shopping and there was some Christmas shopping.
That's right.
But that's all, but that is not
There were
included.
other things that that credit card was used for.
Right.
And did he, in fact, make your car payment for you when you weren't working for the 11 months or 12 months that you were together?
Yes, he did, and he was also...
And how much was your car payment?
$560 a month.
$560 a month?
And it was $320 for car insurance every month when we first got
He used
together.
my car every day because I was not using my car.
Miss Tinsley, the defendant was the girlfriend of your son, according to what I've read here. Is that right? Correct. And you are alleging that you made a loan to her for her tuition. Correct. They are no longer a couple. You want the money back. Where were you living when she gave you the money for tuition?
I was renting out a room from one of Brandon's friend's house.
And in what month and year did that happen?
The money she gave me?
The money.
It was in April of 2011.
How long had you known her up until that time?
A little less than a year. When I started dating him in June of 2011.
A little less than a year?
Yes.
You have family?
Yes.
Who?
My mother and stepfather.
But you have a mother.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything wrong with her?
No.
Okay. Now, after April of 2011, how long did you and Miss Tinsley's son continue to have a relationship?
Until December of 2011.
So she had the joy approximately 6 months.
Yes.
Great. Now it's over.
Yes.
Now, have you seen her since the two of you broke up?
No.
So whatever relationship that you did have was not a lasting one?
No.
Great. How much money did you take from her for tuition?
Altogether with books, it was $2,500.
And why did you take the money from her for tuition?
She offered it.
No, she wouldn't have offered it. For instance, I would not walk up to somebody that was not my child. I wouldn't walk up and say, by the way, do you need money for tuition? Unless she was clairvoyant and sat around with a Ouija board in her kitchen. So somehow she had to know that...
Do you want me to start from the beginning?
No.
Okay.
I don't want to hear your life from the beginning. How she came about tuition.
When I moved to Woodbridge to be closer to Brandon, I had to transfer schools. The school that I was originally going to told me that they would transfer over the financial aid. When I got to Woodbridge to go to the new school, they told me the financial aid did not go through. They basically told me if I could find someone to pay for the money up front, they would send a refund check. I was there with Brandon at the time. He knows how much I've done for him. I've supported him our entire relationship.
Whether you've done something for Brandon.
And he basically said, my mom really appreciates all that you've done for me, and she'll be more than happy to give you the money.
Baloney. Baloney.
So we went to her house and explained to her that but if not, I had no money to give her if not. And at any time, I never agreed to pay her back at all.
Oh, you're going to pay her back?
She told me it was a gift.
Oh, you're going to pay her back? No, she didn't. That doesn't sound logical, doesn't sound reasonable, doesn't sound like any of those things. Logical nor reasonable. I could see you saying to her, I went to them, they said, I'm going to get a refund, and then I'll be able to give you back your money. But right now, in order for me to go to school, I need this $2,500. Because if she had $2,500 to give to you, she could have taken care of any monies that he needed.
She already does.
Good. Well, if she already
off
does, then he didn't need you.
He freeloads off of everyone.
That would not be you to let that happen. That's his mother's prerogative. And if your mother wants to let you freeload off of her after you're 21 years old, that would be your mother's problem. The problem is you're asking a stranger to allow you to freeload off of her.
She offered it.
No. You asked her for it. And she could have done either one of two things. She could have said to you, no, or she could have said to you, yes, I'll help you. You need it. I want you to continue to go to school because that will make you a better person, and I'm a nice person. And then what you do is you pay her back. Now, just for my own information, Miss Stiff, you did go to school then, didn't you?
Yes.
So she gave you the $2,500. Now, financial aid would have, therefore, reimbursed you for that, because there's no question that that's the way they work. Did you get the check for...
No. When she went to pay, they gave her a form to fill out, and she physically put her address for the check to be sent. I got nothing.
Now, did you ask them why you didn't get financial aid for that semester?
Yes, they lied.
Well, that's up to you to find out why. Are you in school now? Did you get financial aid for this semester?
Yes.
No trouble.
Well,
how many semesters of financial aid have you received so far?
Good, almost 2 years.
2 years, which is 4 checks for financial aid. Isn't it odd that the only check you didn't get for financial aid was the money that she laid out for you?
I never got a
judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $25.
Of Wright versus Chambers. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated, sir.
Thanks, Bert.
You're welcome.
Miss Wright, this is your cousin. And according to what I read, he and his brother came to visit you as house guests over Memorial Day weekend. And you have a dog, that dog that I see over in the corner. It's a lovely
beautiful dog.
How long have you had the dog?
3 years. I rescued him. He was blind. He was getting beaten, so I rescued him. He's a very nice dog, has a disability, but so cute.
Totally blind?
Totally blind, yes.
Do you know how old he is?
Yes, he's about 3-4 years old. When I rescued him, you know, the paperwork, because I adopted him, he was abused. His name's Graham.
Was his blindness a congenital condition, or was it the result of abuse?
The result of abuse, yes. And now he's still getting abused to this day. He's still getting abused to this day.
Why?
Because of my cousin.
Oh, well, we'll get to that in a minute. He's not being abused in your house, I assume.
Oh, no. I treat him with a lot of love,
Okay, very good. Let's not be over-dramatic.
Okay, no dramatics.
Understood? Got it?
Yes.
Good. It is your claim that your cousin, either accidentally or on purpose, allowed your dog to get control of a control ill. You want him to be responsible for the vet bills that you incurred as a result of taking the dog the next day to the doctor. That's your claim.
Also wages and pain and suffering, and yes, it was actually on purpose.
Yeah. My pain, my suffering, you want your vet bills paid. Okay. On what date did your cousin arrive in your house?
Oh, what day was that? Let me see. Excuse me. June 3rd. Oh, when he arrived.
Of this year.
What day did he come?
The Friday.
Just jump. I mean, we're not in a playpen here. We're in a court. I'm asking you a question. The questions get harder. On what date did your cousin arrive at your house?
That Friday, June. So that Friday before.
What was the date?
Does anyone have a calendar?
I'll wait until somebody gets a calendar.
You have a calendar? You have a phone? Oh.
I do.
Okay.
On what date did you arrive?
Yes, it was Friday, May 29th.
And who did you arrive with?
I arrived with the plaintiff's brother, Terrell.
You arrived?
I
You
arrived.
arrived.
Yes, we took the train down.
Did you and the plaintiff's brother stay in the same room?
Yes.
And how long were you intending to stay?
We were intending to stay until that Sunday, Your Honor, and we were having such a good time. We were exploring the city. We had been locked down due to COVID. We decided to extend our trip that Sunday.
Until what date?
Until June the 3rd.
Now, you brought some goodies with you, some brownies and stuff that were laced with cannabis. Is that right?
That's correct, Your Honor, and I'd like the record to reflect that it wasn't for me.
That it wasn't for you?
Yes, I was bringing it back home to a friend.
Okay, you had purchased it where?
I purchased it in San Diego.
Now, on the 2nd of June,
Correct.
I'd like you to tell me what behavior you noticed in the dog that was different. Now, you had already been there, and I assume you knew the dog before.
Yes.
Yes. So, on the 2nd of June, you noticed that there was some different. I want you to describe it to me.
Well, there wasn't really any difference in the dog's behavior on June 2nd, Your Honor. The dog was just kind of sleeping and laying around. It kind of does that all the time, though.
Well, why did the plaintiff tell you she was going to take the dog to the vet?
Well, what happened, Your Honor, was on June 2nd, we were all in the kitchen, hanging out in the kitchen. I think we were probably eating lunch, and the plaintiff's brother walked into the bedroom where my luggage was. And I had my luggage there, and on top of the luggage were clothes, but inside the luggage there was a box of chocolate-covered raisins and a marijuana-infused brownie. And the plaintiff's brother walked into the room and saw that the chocolate-covered chocolate raisins in the box. So we assumed that it was the dog. But the dog was, like I said, behaving normally. It was kind of just laying there the day on June 2nd.
Well, just
the dog was high.
Okay. I'm not speaking to you.
Oh, okay, sorry. I just want to get it clear.
Not speaking to you. No, I'm not speaking to you yet. When a person goes in to take some candy out of luggage,
right,
it's usually relatively neat.
Right.
When a dog goes in and rifles through, there's usually a mess.
Right.
So I assume that according to what you're telling me, the plaintiff's brother came in and said, looks like the dog got into your luggage. Is that what you said, sir?
Yes, but the candy wasn't in the luggage. It was on the luggage.
I object.
Okay.
She's not talking to you.
You want me to say goodbye to you? It'll be a pleasure. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. Now, are you a dog owner?
No, I'm not a dog owner. There is a dog that lives in the house with me, though, in LA.
Well, you do know a dog eating chocolate can be a very dangerous thing.
Yes.
You do know that.
Correct.
And if there was nothing left of the chocolate-covered raisins, I would assume that you knew that the dog had consumed those raisins, right?
Correct.
And it would have been if did not take her dog to the vet.
Your Honor, she didn't take her dog to the vet until the next day.
It would have been remiss if she did not take her dog to the vet.
Correct, but I feel like
to have the dog checked out.
Yes, but I feel like the vet wasn't going to do anything, which they didn't. They sent her home and told her to observe the dog.
What I'm telling you is your cousin a single lady?
Yeah, she's a single lady.
And I assume doesn't have kids?
Nope.
Well, people view their dogs as their children, as they should.
Correct.
And if you have a young child that's gotten into something that is potentially lethal, you want to have that child.
Is why would she wait till the next day?
But I don't know why she waited until the next day.
He told me not to take
I'm not speaking to you. I'm not speaking to you. That's not a question that's relevant. The question is the only reason she took the dog to the vet is because you, either negligently or on purpose, left a potentially lethal substance where this dog could get it.
Your Honor, it was.
You are responsible for the vet bill.
May I submit, Your Honor, that it was in my luggage. The dog went inside of the luggage. This was in her home. She should be responsible. And, Your Honor, her dog has attacked people. Many can attest to that.
Listen to me. The dog did not attack you or your luggage. You're the person. The dog, who is blind, got into your luggage.
Right.
The dog does not look like a sleuth. The dog is a dog, a blind dog, and you left your luggage. Your cousin says it was on top. I don't care if it was underneath. It was left in such a manner. Pay attention, you're trying to speak to me. It was left in such a manner that the dog could consume it. You're responsible for the vet bill. Period. End of discussion. We're done. Hands down. What was the vet bill?
$450. Yes. He had to have a lot of treatment done.
Just a second. Just don't. I didn't ask you a question. I just said I wanted to see it. $446. Judgment for the plaintiff. Thank you. Janice, how do you know the defendant?
I met the defendant, I would say, quite a few years ago when I had a 2011 Scion, and I bought some parts from him for that car.
So he's in the business?
As far as I knew, his hobby is rebuilding Scions.
You had nothing other than a business relationship with him?
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Now, you were looking for another car?
Correct.
In what month and year?
It was in 2019. I was looking.
Month?
The month, I would say probably August. I called him to let him know that I would be receiving some money and I was looking to buy another Scion. And since they don't make I just love them because it's like having a truck but a car because I can pack a lot of stuff in it and I do a lot of artwork.
What do you do?
I do a lot of artwork, and so I just find things that inspire me.
And you had a car?
Correct.
When did he advise you that he had one? Also in August?
Yes. He told me he had one, but he needed to do work on it, and I told him I wasn't ready right away.
Did you go and see the car?
No, there was not an opening for that. Because he was working on it as far as...
What do you mean there wasn't open?
He was fixing it. I don't know what he was doing to it at the point, but he was repairing whatever. And I never saw the car until the day I purchased it.
And on what date did you purchase it?
I purchased in September of 2019.
Okay. And you paid $4,500 for the car.
That's incorrect. He charged, and I gave him another $500 on top of it because I didn't approve of the bodywork repairs he made that I was unaware of.
Okay, well, you say that you agreed on a price of $4,500 in your complaint.
Yes, we did.
I agreed to a price of $4,500 and received my loan.
Yes, and I do have the evidence and a phone call that we agreed to.
No, don't tell me the...
No, I'm saying yes. I asked for a car for $4,500.
Is that correct, sir?
The price was $4,500, and then I told her that the hood needs to be painted, and I had sent her pictures also. I have the evidence for that, also before and after.
Just a second. So she did, in fact, then give... Yes. Okay. And you took the car on what date?
He came and picked me up in September. No, I'm sorry. Date issue was 12/16 of 2019. That's when I took possession.
What?
Well, I'm looking at the...
When did she take possession of the car?
September? Yeah, I'm like confused on all the paperwork.
You have a bill of sale?
The bill of sale, I've already sent it, but I have an evidence where she signed the paperwork.
I just want to see a bill of sale.
I do not have a bill of sale.
I would like to see the bill of sale.
All I have is his check, the check that the bank wrote, a cashier's check to him, and his signature.
I just need a bill of sale for the car.
I have this evidence up here, if you can see.
He never gave me a bill of sales.
What is the statement of facts? What is that?
Statement of sold as is, and I'm not responsible for any tickets or anything after that.
Well, I don't see that in a bill of sale, sir.
I've never seen that.
I don't see that.
This is always, whenever I bought a car, people have got this one signed for me also.
Well, I don't know about... That's nothing. Your statement of fact is nothing.
No, I never saw that paper.
What is that? What is on the other side?
It's a DMV form, which tells you if you're clarifying anything regarding the car, if the car was damaged or anything like that.
Public Service Agency, completely appropriate. Okay. It's a used car. It's 11 years old. You took possession of the car in September of 2019. How long did you drive it?
I had it for... It was 4,000 miles before it blew up.
So it blew up. You drove it for 6 months, and now you want your money back.
That's not what... I wasn't... It's not a buyer beware. I have so much about him falsifying documents to the DMV, to my bank, and I even have the paperwork that he filled out, which falsified... He swore to me on this car that it had a clean engine, clean title. That's all I ever heard. Clean engine, clean title. I called him up, and this is how it went. It's like, I'm on
Janice,
Yes.
Janice.
Yes, wait.
Pay attention.
Sorry. Yes.
You bought an 11-year-old car, and you drove it for 6 months. Are you telling me that you didn't register it?
No, it was registered.
You registered. And it was registered in whose name?
It was registered. When I drove the car, it
Janice?
was... Yes.
When you drove the car, it was registered in your name.
Correct.
Right. And you drove it for 6 months.
Right. But can we talk...
You don't get your money back.
It's not.
You don't get your money
It's
back.
not about the purchase of the car. It's the whole situation. He took advantage of an elderly. He lied from the very beginning. He promised to fix the work because I wasn't happy with it. He took off out of the country. He took the money and went out of the country, did not follow through with anything. I even have a phone message saying that we agreed to $4,500. He made it $5,000. He's like, oh, I gave you this, and he goes, I put on the rims, you got this. I go, I never asked for
that. Janice, he may be the world's greatest scam artist, You drove the car for 6 months. You bought an 11-year-old car. If you want to tell me bad things about him, just to get it off your chest, I'll give you as much time as you like, but you're not getting your money back for the car.
I'm trying to explain that it has more to do with than me purchasing the car and the car being bad. That's not what it's all about. What it's about is the whole agreement. I was honest and told him exactly what I needed. He swore to me that that car would last because I'm on a fixed. You know, I tried to work with the car. I have evidence showing that I've spent a fortune on it getting repairs. I'm not even asking for that. All I'm asking for is to be reimbursed for the second car I had to buy I had to buy 2 cars in 6 months. And it's, you know, I mean, I have evidence showing where the odometer was turned back.
You don't have a claim against him.
But how can you
you don't have a claim against him.
But how can you
listen?
Okay. Yes, I am.
You bought an 11-year-old car.
Right.
You registered it. You drove it for 6 months.
Technically, he registered it.
It had no guarantee. It had no warranty. That's what happens when you buy an 11-year-old car for somebody that is a hobby, fixes up cars. You have no recourse on what you're supposed to be if you're...
Okay.
I don't care what he told you. It's irrelevant.
It's not about what he told me. It's in writing to the DMV. It's in writing to my bank.
Okay.
So that's what I'm trying to show you.
We're done. Thank you very much. We're finished.
Please, this isn't right. What he did. It's got nothing to do with
what he did may not be.
But how can you lie to the DMV? How can you lie to my bank? How
can you? Bad people do that.
And he's not responsible for anything?
Bad people do that.
And
Bottom line is,
he took more
you
money
want your money back. You bought a used car that was 11 years old, and you paid reasonably for it because I've checked. I'm speaking because I checked the Blue Book value of the car and what they're being sold for. So for $4,500 or $5,000, it was a pretty good deal. Some of those cars are being sold for $7,000. I'm sure you know that you looked because I did, and I'm no genius with the computer. So I was able to find out what they were. You bought a used car, 11 years old. You drove it for 6 months. You don't get any money back. We're done here.
Can I ask a question about the Carfax report?
No.
And the odometer turned back?
No. We're done. What part of we're done don't you understand?
This is case number 558 on the calendar, the matter of Bunkley versus Butler.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat.
Miss Bunkley, how long had you and Miss Butler been friends?
10 years.
How old are you?
21.
How old are you?
20.
Miss Butler inherited a house from her father. It's a 2-bedroom house.
Yes, ma'am.
And at that time, where were you living?
At that time, close to campus in Spartanburg, called Campus Evolution.
And who was paying the rent on that apartment?
I was.
And how much were you paying?
$539 a month.
So when Miss Butler inherited this house, she invited you to come and live with her.
Yes.
And the arrangement was that you would live there rent-free, but that you would split the expenses of the house.
Yes.
The utilities, the taxes, and that turned out to be how much a month?
With utilities, with it being cold in the house, the light was about $100.
You moved into the house when?
October the 28th, 2016.
So what did you give her in November?
November, I gave her my part for...
You gave her?
$88.
So you saved yourself quite a bit of money in November.
No, in November, what I gave her was, we haven't got the bills for November yet. So what I gave her in November was my part of the light deposit. And
all I'm asking you was, so far in November, you would have been paying $539 a month, and you were saving a lot of money.
Yes.
You paid $88. And in December, how much did you give her?
Well, we split the amount.
How much money did you give her?
Well, I don't know the exact amount. I just know how much it would be.
Figure the exact amount.
108.
108 for December. So again, you saved a whole bunch of money, right?
Correct.
And you get a grant. You get cash. From whom?
From the federal student loan, student of FAFSA.
And you had used that to pay your rent when you were going to school, part of it, right?
Yes, and also working.
Yes, but you paid part of that grant that you were getting, which was $6,000?
Yes, that was for January.
How often do you get the $6,000?
I get it at the beginning of the year in August and in January for the second semester.
So you get $12,000 a year altogether?
Well, no, the second semester was higher than...
semester.
The second semester was $6,000.
And the one before?
$3,000.
So you get $9,000. So moving into this house saved you a lot of money because you could pocket the money that you were paying for $539 in rent. So far you're doing okay, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. And you were still in the house in January.
Yes.
And how much money did you give her in January?
In January, it run us $230 apiece.
Just for you?
Yes.
So again, you saved half.
Yes, ma'am.
There came a time when, according to you, in January, you got your student loan check,
yes,
$6,000, and you didn't have a bank account.
Correct.
And you gave the check out, she cashed the check, and you gave her a $500 loan.
Yes. Well,
tell me how that came about.
On my birthday, well, a couple of days before I received my refund check that was coming to her account, she had quit her job because she overslept and she just didn't go back, and she was coming on hard times. And I was thinking to myself, you know, let me see how much I have, and I'll think about loaning her some. So on my birthday, I paid for us to get our hair done and all that stuff. The day of my birthday, as we're walking out the hair salon, I said, I have $500 that I can loan you. You know, you can just pay me back when you can build it up.
Okay, I'm not believing that so.
With the $500, the money was direct deposited into my account. On our way to take the money out of the bank, she was with me in the car.
What money was deposited into your account?
$6,000. I actually have the deposit where it was put in and taken out. It was $6,100, and I want to say 25, something like that. And I had taken it all out. On our way there, she said that
where?
To the bank. She said that she would be giving me $500 because I was saying, you know, wow, I wish I was blessed with, you know, that much money, right? And she said that she was going to be giving me 500 of it, and I was just, you know, I must have been a best friend for 10 years, a great best friend.
Yeah, you're a very, very good friend. She can't give you $500 of my money. She can't give you $500 of my money. It's not money she earned. That's Bird's money. Bird doesn't even know her. And Bird doesn't know you. Why would Bird want to give you $500 of his money?
It's not even true.
It's where your money's going. I don't care if it was actually a gift or a loan. It was not used for the purpose that it was supposed to be used for, and it was supposed to be used for her education. That's why we're giving her the money.
It was used for education. That's the refund check of it. That's my mother's taking out a parent loan for it.
Listen to me. Education.
Exactly.
So it goes back to you. Now, at some point, so that $500 comes back to you. But at some point, Miss Bunkley, you moved your boyfriend in a few days a week to the house.
No, Your Honor.
Yeah, you did.
No.
He would sleep over 2 nights a week, 3 nights a week. Wasn't permanently living there. I didn't see he had all his clothes there.
Was it?
How many nights a week was he there?
He was there every night of the week.
Yeah, you don't have a boyfriend that comes every other Tuesday. Otherwise, he wouldn't be your boyfriend. So what happened was Miss Butler said to you, if he's going to be there, by the way, stand up. I have a couple of questions for you. Your first name is?
Avery.
Avery, stand for us.
Fountain Inn, South Carolina.
Good. Who lives there with you?
My father.
And you don't live anywhere else, right?
No, ma'am.
So when you were staying over, you weren't leaving an apartment that you were paying for, right?
Right.
Sit. So Ms. Butler said if he's going to be here all the time, he's got to contribute to a third of the bills, third of the light, third of the gas. You know, you're living rent-free and saving a whole bunch of money. But if he's going to be here, he's got to pay. And then there was an argument. You want to tell me what happened?
I have the text messages if you want to see them.
Was it all by text message?
By text message.
Then I'd like to read it. Oh, I see. The $500 was for, in that case, I need my $500 back, the money for half the house taxes.
Oh, I was adding on to the $500.
No, you weren't adding on to anything. In that case, I need my $500 back, the money for half the house taxes. Okay. Now, all I have to ask you is the following. I've read all of this, and it's clear that what it says is, she said, if he was going to pay his third. You said no. She said, I'm the owner of the house. If you don't like those rules, get out. You're not my mother, and whatever. That is all nonsense. She said, if you don't like the rules, get out. She's absolutely right. There are going to be 3 people in the house. 3 people have to share the expenses. She wasn't charging you rent. So I don't know what you're suing her for. Now I'm going to look. For repayment of the loan, I've already decided that it really wasn't a loan. So you're going to give her the $500 back. So far, damages and property taken without permission. Well, I'll get back to that. Lost wages, moving costs, pain, and suffering. That's gone. Damages. What property was damaged?
The locks was changed before I got there.
Just a second. You went there with the police officer, and you went in and got your stuff. What was damaged?
My television was on the ground, and now it doesn't work.
TV. I'd like to see it. And when you left the house earlier, the TV was fine?
The TV was fine and on
fine.
stand.
You have a bill for the TV?
I don't have the bill because I purchased the TV 2 years ago on Black Friday, and I just, the cost.
How much do you say it cost?
It cost $298.
Okay, so we're going to give you $500, which is the money that you gave her back, and another $150 for the TV. So far, that's $650. Now, what items do you say are missing?
I've been living on my own for 2.5 years, so I had enough towels, about 12 towels that I remember buying.
Forget about it. Next.
The next was just pain and suffering.
I have no pain and suffering.
I suffered,
I'm just telling you, you have no pain and suffering. You want to pay for your boyfriend, you pay for the boyfriend. She was perfectly willing to have him stay there as long as he paid a third of all the expenses. You chose not to do that. You left.
No, I
She
didn't.
withdrew her hospitality.
Excuse me, allow it. First of all, I have the original statement saying that they kicked me out. As you
Listen
can
to
see
me.
in
She
these text
kicked
messages.
you out.
Exactly. She kicked me out. That's illegal. That's illegal in the state of
Miss
South
Funky,
Carolina.
pay careful-
Correct.
pay
In the
careful-
back,
pay
in the
careful
brochures.
Pay careful
in the
attention to
brochures,
me.
it says they cannot kick you out without going to the magistrate courts. And I just won't allow it.
Careful attention to me. You brought in an illegal tenant into the property, and she said, if he wants to stay here, that's fine. But he can't stay here without paying. You said, I'm not going to pay you, and threatened a little bit, said you were going to kick her. I know you didn't really mean that. So far, it's $650. Now we're going to go to, on what date did she move out?
February 13th.
February the 13th.
What month utilities do you claim that she owes for?
For January.
Now, bear in mind, I know what November and December were. Now you're going to tell me what January's were.
I believe for the half of us, January only came up to be, since it was a little warmer, I want to say that it was like
If you don't know
90,
exactly,
80.
then I
Yeah,
don't care.
Don't know exactly. I do have the bills.
Well, then look at the bills.
Yes.
For both of you or for her?
A piece.
$650 less 92 equals $558. Judgment for the plaintiff. We're case together as I see it. Mr. Walker was a boyfriend of yours. After you had broken off the relationship, Mr. Walker came to your house on the evening of January 31st. He came over unannounced. You had another visitor. You did not open the door. According to you, Mr. Walker tried to force his way into the door, damaging the door frame. Then he went out to your car and he vandalized your car. He vandalized your car by breaking the windshield, and according to you, also did something to a tire. Mr. Walker, is that correct, Mr. Walker?
Yes.
I assume that you pled guilty to that charge.
Yeah.
Vandalism of what property?
For the window.
Just for the window.
Just for the...
And paid restitution for the window.
Yeah.
When was that?
February.
February of this year.
Yeah.
Were you present?
For the court?
Yes.
No, Your Honor.
Well, he was arrested on your complaint.
Yes.
Do you have a copy of that complaint?
They wouldn't release the police report to me because at the time the case was pending. It's not pending anymore, though.
I have to see a police report because in the police report it would say what vandalism you were alleging that he did to your property.
Yes.
Because if he's paid the restitution for the windshield, which he did, now you say, well, but I also want the restitution for the door that he damaged and for the tire. Don't know or something?
Yes, Your Honor.
So even though you think that he did that, you're not sure.
I'm pretty sure.
Well, pretty sure is not the standard that we use. The door is another story. Mr. Walker, when you got to the house in, was January? And you saw someone else's car there, or you sensed that she had visitors?
Right, yeah.
Tell me what gave you that sense that she had visitors.
Just the fact that she didn't open the door, and we supposed to be closer and better than that. And I knew something was going on because she normally opened the door for me. You know, and we chill and hang out and stuff like that. So for her not to open the door for me, I knew something. I had to put the pieces to the puzzle, and I knew something was going on.
Okay, were you dating then?
Come back and date.
Well, off and on doesn't mean that you are exclusive,
Right.
correct?
You're right.
So when you show up unannounced and she didn't want to open the door, why didn't you leave?
I did leave.
Not before you broke the windshield of the car.
I didn't break her window at all.
But then why did you plead guilty to it?
I pled guilty because I'm on probation already from other cases. So they violated me for my probation for that, and I didn't want to proceed and go on with a case like that, so I just pled guilty to it because I didn't want to put myself in deeper trouble like that and go through trial
Well,
and
now
court.
you have. Why do you mean go through deeper trouble? You now have another conviction on you. Clearly, based upon what you say, is a long rap sheet.
Right.
And you know that he has a long history?
I'm unaware of that.
For what?
For other cases like gun charges, domestic violence, and stuff like that. Like.
Can I see a picture of the door, please? Mr. Walker, how old are you?
25.
When you had other domestic violence cases, did they send you to anger management classes?
Yeah, they put me in classes.
They didn't work. Mr. Walker, You really should. You look like a nice enough man. Why are you going to throw your life away with?
I don't think sometimes, not using rational thinking sometimes, and you know, you be caught up in a moment sometimes, and
Well, but growing, you know, kids do that.
right.
Little kids, you know, they throw a temper tantrum. You ever see them in a grocery store, you know, laying on the floor and pounding their feet and screaming because they couldn't get Skittles?
Right.
You're not a 2-year-old banging your head and feet on the floor because you can't get Skittles.
I'm a musician. I do music, produce, and stuff like that.
Is that how you support yourself?
Yeah.
Do you
Yes.
support yourself?
Yes.
Who do you live with?
I live with my mom.
Are you an only child?
No, I got 3 brothers.
Older or younger?
Older.
So you're the baby.
Yeah.
Got it. Do you have an estimate for the door?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you rent this property or own it?
I rent it. It's an apartment.
Did you get a letter from the landlord?
No, I didn't want to involve them.
Did you actually fix the door?
I haven't fixed it yet. It's still, like, messed up.
Well, the door doesn't look as if it could be closed.
It does. Sometimes, like, at first, the screws were stripped for the lock, so I had to change it to a doorknob.
And with this, I have paperwork too with this case because they did dismiss the case and everything. So
After you paid the restitution
Yeah.
for the window.
yeah,
But you didn't pay for the door.
I didn't break the door.
Yes, you did.
No.
Oh. And the window. Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $1,036.
Yeah, it's case number 390 on the count in the matter of Nash versus Colson. Watt.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Ms. Nash, which one is your brother?
Alex Colson.
So Mr. Watt, according to your complaint, was your boyfriend for a while. Your brother and Mr. Watt lived together. You moved in with them, and Watt assaulted you?
Yes.
And that they both destroyed your property or whatever. They both seem to say that you're a little bit psycho.
It would seem.
Is that right?
Yes,
Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. How long, Mr. Colson, have you and Mr. Watt been living together?
Currently, just about 6 months now.
How long have you known each other?
8 or 9.
Get along pretty well?
Absolutely. I mean, after we left our apartment that we all resided at, we actually rented another apartment together.
Why did you leave the apartment where the 3 of you were residing?
Complications with the landlord.
What kind of complications?
Complaints, arguing.
You mean complaints made about?
Because he lived right upstairs.
So you were too loud for him?
Sometimes it was between music and the fighting.
Do you work?
I do.
Do you work?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you work?
Yes.
Why did you move in with your brother and then boyfriend?
My brother and his girlfriend had broken up. My boyfriend at the time had moved in. I was having complications with my mother because she did not approve of me dating Ethan. And there was complications with us being able to see each other. So I moved in with them.
What were the complications with seeing Mr. Watt?
My mom felt I spent too much time with him and did not have enough time for my friends anymore.
That sounds ridiculous. Even I don't believe that. That doesn't make sense. How old are you?
19.
Your mother said that you were seeing too much of this nice young man who works.
He did not work at the time, Your Honor. In fact, he did not have a job until after we broke up. He relied on me to pay everything.
Well, then that would be a reason why your mother didn't like him. Not that you were spending too much time with him as opposed to spending time with your girlfriends. That doesn't sound normal.
Well, it's my guy friends, too. I was no longer allowed to hang out with them once I started dating Mr. Ethan.
And how would she know that unless you told her?
I was very close to my mom. Me and my mom are pretty much best friends. We have a very close relationship.
So you told her, let me understand, sort of sympathetic to this side. You told your mother that you weren't allowed to hang out with your male friends because your boyfriend was too controlling and wouldn't let you hang out with your boyfriends. You told this to your mother.
My mom she knows who I hang out with. She knows who was at my house when I was living with her. She noticed who stopped coming around because Ethan would throw a fit and he would start arguing with me about it. I wasn't even allowed to hang out with his little brother anymore because he felt that his little brother had a thing for me.
Did you tell that to your mother?
No.
That's all we were talking about right now.
Okay.
Your Honor, that's not exactly how it happened. There was a huge Sam it was about Ethan.
Who's Sam?
Samantha, sorry.
There was a conflict between your mother
and Ethan.
And Ethan.
Right. It's like she had said that she didn't really like him for whatever reason.
Take your hands out of your pockets.
Sorry, ma'am. She didn't like him for whatever reason. There was a huge fight between my mother and Sam literally threw everything of hers in her car and drove to my house. We really didn't say she could move in. We actually felt a bit obligated, A, because she's my sister, and B, because she was dating my roommate.
So that's what happened?
That's what happened, yes.
I actually believe you. I actually believe that.
Thank you.
Now, Ms. Nash, you want to tell me about this alleged...
Everything was fine. He became
I don't
a little...
care about... Tell me about the alleged assault. When was it? What
the
was
assaults first started out with the controlling and him showing up at work, hollering and screaming at me.
Listen to me. Get to the assault. Because all you have to do is put your stuff back in your car and move back to your mother's if you don't want him to come to your job anymore. I said get to the assault.
On November 12th, I paid him the night before to watch my niece and my nephew, who's 2 and 4.
Your Honor...
You're going to have a chance. Going to have a chance. Listen to me. So on November 12th, you paid him to watch your niece and nephew.
Yes. I went and I picked them up because I was supposed to work. I couldn't see. He almost got me fired.
You agreed to watch your niece and nephew, who were 2 and 4, despite the fact that you were working.
My sister was paying me weekly to watch them. I was working 2 jobs. I was both paying for them and working a regular job.
Well, why were you doing that?
Because I needed more money to support myself and Ethan.
So, just sit back and relax. Just sit back and relax. So you agreed to watch your sister's children?
Yes.
And you were paid for that?
Yes.
How much were you paid?
I was paid $100.
Don't go over there. Go over here.
I was paid $140 a week to watch
the children because you were going to your job, so you told your boyfriend to watch the children.
No, he agreed to because I paid him money to do so.
And how much did you pay him?
It was $20.
For how long?
To watch them from 10 to about 2.
Don't give me 10 to about 2. To watch them from when to when?
Well, it depended on times when I got out. I usually was out by 2.
10 to 2?
Yes.
What time did you leave?
That morning, I left at about 8 o'clock to go get them. I brought them over. Ethan was still in bed. I flipped the blankets off him and told him it was time to get up.
And what happened when you flipped the blankets off him and told him it was time to get up?
He started flipping out, calling me a fat, stupid, flipping out on me, calling me names, screaming at me. I left. I went to work. I showed up frantic. I told my boss that I couldn't watch them because Ethan had threatened to leave my niece and my nephew are 2 and 4 at the house alone.
So he actually hadn't agreed.
No,
that
he
morning.
had agreed.
Listen
He had
to me.
spent the money already.
He hadn't agreed that morning. He said, don't leave because I'm going to leave the children, according to you.
Yes.
And you left anyway.
I went to work and I told my boss I had to go home because I tried calling him and he wouldn't answer the phone at work because we hadn't opened yet.
So you left your niece and nephew in that circumstance.
For about 10 minutes. That's all it took me to get to work was 4 minutes. We lived like 2 miles. I called him, I said I was coming home, and he threatened me, said if I came home, things were just going to get worse. But I couldn't leave them there with him.
So tell me what happened when you got home.
I got home, and he pushed me on the bed, started screaming and hollering like normal, the same threats as always, you know, I'm going to leave you, blah, blah, blah. I told him I wasn't going to deal with it. I had to go watch my niece and my nephew since he would not. He brought the 2 and 4-year-old babies into the room, closed the door, and made them sit there while he hollered and screamed at me. He grabbed me by my hair, pushed me against the wall, started choking me, threatened to kill me and kill himself if I left. This was not the first time he threatened to kill himself. He does it a lot as a threat.
Okay, so is that the assault that you're talking about?
Well, after that, I picked the babies up. I got up. He continued pushing me with babies in my arms.
So that's not the end of it. He continued to push you with your niece and nephew.
Yes, I got to the stairs, got him up the stairs because we live downstairs in the basement. Our landlord lives above. I got them in the car, and he was pounding on my windows. Said that he was going to kill himself. I was going to come back, and they were going to be dead.
Who's they?
He. Sorry, not they.
Hey, Mr. Watt, your version of the events of November 12th.
First of all, Your Honor, I'm sorry, but the dates are wrong because we moved into our new apartment October 1st, signed a lease.
Do you have any proof of that whatsoever?
Yeah, my lease expired at the end of...
I'd like to see it, please.
September. I'm sorry, it was September 11th. I was looking down. He is right there. That was my fault.
So this happened September 12th?
Yes.
Is that when it happened?
Yes, Your Honor. Yes.
What happened, Mr. Watt, on September 12th?
She had woken me up with the children and asked me to watch them. I told her that my cousin was coming over to hang out for a couple hours, and she was uncool with it because he had been over a couple times to hang out with me that week.
Look at me. Don't look there.
She started to get angry, and we argued. She started to hit my chest after we argued more. After she started to hit me, I pushed her away, told her to get out of my house, and I told her I didn't want to watch the kids and that she should take them. Tore up my Xbox and everything else I had on a counter.
How did she do that?
Because she took the table and flipped it and took everything off of it.
Because the table was hers. The table that had the TV and the Xbox on it had belonged to her. She literally was like, this is mine. She
You
wrecked
weren't
his
there.
bedroom. Yes, I was.
You were there?
I was there for all of this.
Oh, really?
He was, excuse me, Honor.
Just a second.
He was...
Just a second. Don't speak.
But I...
Don't speak.
Will you give me a chance to speak?
I don't know.
Please?
Unless you were there on September 12th. Were you there?
I was. Later.
I'm talking about Where we're talking about right now.
He was in bed when I got there.
Very carefully, madam. When I say be quiet, I mean be quiet. Right now, I'm in the morning.
Okay, so.
I want you to be quiet. Now you understand?
I understand you.
Great.
I'm just saying. I can't believe you believe them, but whatever.
Would you put her out, please? Great. Out. Now let's get back to it. When you say you were present in the room or were you present in the apartment?
I was present in the room for most of it, and my bedroom is literally right next to it.
Tell me at what point in the argument?
When Sam had gone in and woken him up, it all started with yelling, and that's when I left the room and came in.
And so exactly what did you see when you came in?
Sam had come in and was yelling,
No, you didn't see that because you were next door. You didn't see her yelling. You may have heard her yelling.
Well, once I entered the room again.
That's all I want to know. Once you entered the room,
she was
what did you see?
Yelling.
She was still yelling.
Violence-wise, Sam was coming after Ethan, getting in his face, saying things like, you never loved me, you cheated on me. She was very insecure about their whole relationship.
Just tell me what you saw.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. I did see her say the table, she started grabbing the table and TV like Ethan had said she did. She pulled it right off. She was taking it with her because it was hers.
So that she was actually taking her stuff.
Right. In doing so, had broken a video game and a controller. Thankfully, the Xbox still works. But it was just a big.
Where were the children?
The children were in the living room. My girlfriend has a 3-year-old son, so there was plenty of toys out there.
So the children weren't in the room, but they were in the apartment.
Correct. They were in the living room of the apartment. At no point did I see Ethan drag the kids in there. I do remember, however, after she left, Ethan upset. He did leave, and then he came back 5 minutes once.
He left, and you were in the apartment?
Yes.
And this is your niece and nephew as well?
Right, and they were there.
Who's their mother?
Who's their mother? Our sister.
Was that the person who was here?
No. She was at work.
Who was this person?
That was one of the third time she came in to get her stuff 6 weeks after she moved out. She sent her and her boyfriend in with nobody home. Sam didn't go with her. Nobody was there. She sent them into my apartment to get the rest of her stuff, and they actually grabbed some of my belongings in the process. Though they were returned, Ethan's room, everything was left a complete wreck because they didn't know what they were.
I gave you a chance to speak. Now I'm back to him.
It just makes no sense. How could I fit all my belongings in the car with 2 car seats and a sports car that has a very small trunk?
What he said?
He said I started grabbing all my belongings.
Yes.
I went back later.
Listen to me. He also said that. If you put your listening ears on, I asked him who this person was, and he said this is a person who went back to his apartment 6 weeks later with her husband. That's what he said. I don't know if it's true or not. But clearly, based on what he said, you did not remove all your belongings that day. So you got to put your listening ears on. Now, did you see Mr. Watt put his hands on your sister?
The only time I did is when he pushed her. He pushed her away. I'll say that. But also at any point, if I ever thought he was...
If you thought your sister was at risk, you would have intervened.
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, Mr. Watt, were you ever served with a protective order?
No, never.
Did you go to the police?
No, my main focus was getting my kids out there.
Just a second.
They were frantic
Listen to me very carefully. That requires an answer. Did you go to the police?
No. Later on, when I went and got a police escort to get rest of my things.
Date?
Not quite positive. It was after I moved into my own apartment. So I moved in at the...
So you did not file for protective order and did not complain to the police about the assault, nor seek police intervention after you moved into your own apartment?
I was worried about getting my niece and nephew away from the violence.
Your Honor.
Shh. Application for punitive damages due to an assault is dismissed. Now I want you to tell me what it is that you claim either Mr. Watt or your brother has of your property that requires a monetary award.
My kitchen table, which I have the receipts for, was $119. That went missing.
It went missing from where?
The apartment. Shelby, my witness, helped me that day. We couldn't lift it up the stairs alone. When I moved in, Alex couldn't even carry it.
To me very carefully is what you're telling me, that you left the kitchen table in the apartment because you couldn't lift it out.
Yes.
Yes, that's the answer.
Yes.
On what date did you leave the kitchen table in the apartment?
The 12th.
Of September?
Yes.
When did you go back for the kitchen table? In what month?
Less than a week later when I moved into my apartment.
So less than a week later, after September 12th, you moved into your apartment and you went back for the kitchen table?
Yes, I sent my best friend and boyfriend in to get my things. I had a list.
Just a second. Did you go back for the kitchen table? Not your best friend.
For it.
Give me the month and the date.
I'm not positive of the date.
You must have a police report for the date you went back there with a police officer.
I don't. I went and I called on my way from Augusta.
What else other than a kitchen table?
My senior pictures, when I called Alex about him, he told me that Ethan had torn them up and they were sitting in the trash.
Did you have that conversation with your sister?
No, ma'am.
Do you know where her senior pictures are?
No.
Along with my baby book.
Do you know where that is?
No, Your Honor, I worked every day that she came back to get her things.
I know, but there were times when you didn't work.
When I was there, the things that she had said are missing. Last time I saw it, it was in the closet of the rent we just left.
Of the rental you just left?
Yeah, that.
Did you leave it there?
Yes, Your Honor.
They don't have it. What else?
Missing my DVD adapter as well.
Anybody have her DVD
Alex
adapter?
had my DVD player in his room.
Anybody have a DVD adapter that belongs to Miss Nash?
No, you don't.
It was my baby book, my DVD adapter. That's what I have.
on.
I'm missing those 4 items.
No, they don't have them. They moved out of the apartment.
Well, I would like them back or the money back for them. My senior pictures and baby book are irreplaceable.
They're irreplaceable, so there's no way they can pay you for them.
I can get my senior pictures reprinted off for another $130 along with the book.
They don't have them.
Oh, I want the money back for them.
You're not going to get it.
He tore them up. This is not right. I have calls from them.
Just a second. You have calls from them admitting that either one
I have
of them
verbal
tore up?
calls. I don't have
Just a
voicemails.
second. Just a second. Well, then, I don't know that that exists. Do you understand?
Yes.
Now, did you destroy any of Mr. Watt's property when you...
He said I broke a game when I...
Destroy any of Mr. Watt's property when you left?
No, I broke a game according to him.
Move on.
Now it's case number 564 on the calendar in the matter of Burton versus Leary.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Miss Burton, this is your complaint, if I understand it. You left some jewelry with Miss Leary on consignment to sell. The jewelry was allegedly stolen. You want the value of the jewelry. That's
Correct.
what your lawsuit's about. Miss Leary, where was your place of business?
I'm in the Oceanside area.
You have a lease on a store there?
Correct.
How long have you had the lease on the store there?
Probably about 4 years.
And what kind of store is it?
Jewelry and antiques.
Who do you have a lease with?
Todd.
He owns the building?
Correct.
How much rent do you pay?
About $1,000.
I don't know what that means. About $1,000.
$995 a month.
And how long have you been paying that rent?
As long as I've been there.
4 years.
Correct.
You take jewelry on consignment, correct?
Correct.
And when you sell it, whatever the difference is between what you give to the person who brought the jewelry is your profit?
Correct.
So I assume, since you pay rent every month, you have a profit in the business?
Correct.
Now, who is your insurance carrier? Don't call it. I mean, who is your insurance carrier?
I'm not insured at the moment. It's very difficult. Insurance is a cyclical thing, and sometimes when the economy is bad and losses are high, insurance companies are not willing to take small businesses. So it's very difficult to get insurance.
When was the last time you had insurance?
Probably about 3 years ago. It's not what you told me.
What happens if somebody slips and falls in your store?
My liability insurance covers it.
So you have insurance, because otherwise Todd wouldn't rent you his business, right?
Right.
So who do you have your insurance with?
At the moment, I do not have insurance.
Well, is that in violation of your lease?
Yes.
When did you allegedly, Miss Burton, bring your jewelry into Miss Leary?
November of 2009.
What did you bring in?
I brought in a wedding set that included an engagement ring, a band, and a men's band as well. 1-carat stud diamond earrings, all by the brand.
Did you have appraisals on all of that?
At one point, yes, I did have appraisals on everything, but what I still have with me today is an appraisal of the diamond in the engagement ring.
I'd like to see it.
Okay. There's a picture of the wedding set as well. And I have comparable items.
Don't give me comparable items. This is...
In 2006, my house was burglarized, and I lost a lot of very important documents. This is what I was able to...
Now, you brought the jewelry in there in November 2009. I would like to see the receipt that she gave you in November 2009.
At the very top, it states the...
I can read.
Okay.
Are you a storefront, Miss Leary?
Correct.
Suite A is what?
It's a small store.
Okay. I want you to take a look at this, please. know what that is, except that it looks as if you either valued or put down a price for the wedding set of $4,000. What does that mean, Miss Leary?
That I was going to try to sell that for $4,000.
That was the minimum.
Just a second. That's what that means.
Correct.
Okay. Now, she has an appraisal replacement value from Robbins Brothers.
That's just the diamond.
Just a second. Let me tell you something. I buy a lot of jewelry. I know what appraisals are like. How much did you pay?
I have receipts from back then. The total for just
I'd like to take a look at them.
Okay. This is the receipt for... You're seeing the appraisal for just the diamond.
Just a second.
Okay.
Just let me see.
Okay.
Okay.
May I explain that? Because that is just the band, the Tacori band that the diamond was set in. Does not include the diamond in that. Can you show her this too? Because it shows...
That's interesting. Yeah. Okay.
This will make a little more sense if you look at this. The price for the diamond, the band, and the setting.
Let me understand this. You paid, allegedly, $5,000 for this wedding set.
More than that. And that's just the engagement ring. That doesn't include the eternity band or the men's band as well.
Does the men's band have any stones in it?
No.
Okay.
I have they're still selling it on the website.
Listen to me. You paid $5,000 for the engagement ring, and you thought you could sell it for $4,000.
It was my understanding that she had paid quite a bit for the pieces, and I felt that she had overpaid for them, and I was trying to do as best I could.
Or is that a promise that you made to her, you know, to get her to give you the jewelry, and then if you can only get $2,000 for it, you call and say, I can only get $2,000 for it, do you want it or not?
That's correct.
Correct. I understand how the game's played. You know, you overvalue it, you come back, you say, this is all I can get for it, do you want it or not? Now, what happened with the jewelry was that, according to you, it got stolen out of your car.
All my jewelry that day got stolen out of my car.
What was her jewelry doing in your car?
I had just done a show, and I had the jewelry packed up, getting ready to put it back into the vault in Oceanside.
When it was all packed up, where was it?
It was in my car, locked.
Where in the car?
In the front seat of the car.
In what?
You know, in a bag, in a jewelry bag, in a jeweler's bag.
What does a jeweler's bag look like?
I would say it's kind of a black zippered case, 2x3 type of thing.
And it was on the driver's side or the passenger side?
It was on the passenger side.
And where were you?
I was paying for my security's gas and my gas. We were in separate cars in the gas station.
It was behind you?
Correct.
Not being watchful, because somebody had to come up to the car, right? If they stole it out of the car. That black bag, just a second, somebody had to know that that black bag with the zippered case was a jeweler's bag. Somebody had to be smart enough to know that, right?
Correct.
And you selected the security person, not her.
Right.
Okay. I'd like to see the police report, and I'd like to see your police report.
By the way, she didn't want to give me a copy of the police report. I had to go to Long Beach Police Department to get a copy of it myself. I wasn't even sure if the jewelry had even been stolen. Wasn't sure if I was being scammed in the report.
Did you fill out the loss report sheet?
Yes, I did.
You have a copy of it?
Not with me.
Well, the police gave you a loss report sheet.
Correct.
And you were instructed how to fill it out.
Yes, I filled it out. It's about 10 pages.
And they have it at the police department, is that right?
Correct.
So that's easy for you to get. And for my clerk to get.
It takes about 2 weeks' time to get it.
No, what I'm saying to you, it's
yes,
accessible.
It can be yes. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely accessible.
Yes, it is.
Well, when did you file your lawsuit?
Okay, that was last month, February.
But you've known about, correct? So why wouldn't you get a copy of the loss report form?
I have a copy. I didn't bring it.
Where is it?
At my store.
Who's at your store?
No one today.
Mm-hmm. Do you list the plaintiff's jewelry as having been stolen?
Yes.
All her items?
All but one.
Which one?
The Eternity Band.
And why didn't you list that?
Because that one was sold.
Sold?
Oh.
When was it sold?
Prior to the show.
And when did you transmit for the Eternity Band?
I have not as yet.
Why not? That happened a year ago.
Because of the major loss in May.
Who cares? You sold her property, and you didn't give her the money for it. I have a feeling from looking at her face, it's the first she's heard that you sold any of her property. Why is that? Why is that?
I thought that I had told her that.
You thought that you told her that?
That the one piece had sold.
Well, telling her that her jewelry is sold and giving her the money are two different things. A year later, how much do you say you sold it for? Turn over the money to her. I mean, is there no reason?
Just with the loss, I have been unable to.
That's not a reason. You pay your rent. You're still in business.
It's been very difficult.
You sold her property. It's like stealing. If you sold her property, if you listed it, see, you have to ask questions before you get an answer. You sound sympathetic, but you're really not sympathetic. Because who is Dana?
That's me.
That's you. This is your security?
Mm-hmm.
She carry a weapon? She licensed to carry a firearm?
No.
Then she's your buddy?
No.
Because that's where you took her stuff, to a flea market?
No.
And you rented a booth in a flea market?
No.
Don't say anything. Security carries a weapon. You're walking around with $100,000 worth of jewelry. What is she going to do? Say, I don't touch that. When you hire security, you don't go with your buddy Dana. So that's not security. And you may be right. Someone may have followed you from the flea market. That's a possibility. That's why if you were going to hire a security, you would hire security who wouldn't be pumping gas, not looking at what was going on while you were going inside to pay for the gas. Because that's what it says, security with or without a gun. So you have that look of an innocent victim, but you actually stole her money a year ago. You sold her for it. And we're not talking about what got stolen of her property, allegedly, because I'm not even sure her property got stolen. But you say you listed most of her property in the stolen property that you furnished to the police. I'm not even so sure that's true.
It is true.
Well, it's true you stole her money. That I do know. You sold her property, you didn't pay her, and you stole her money. I'm not talking about $5,000, but I know about $500. And if you would steal $500, you'd steal $5,000. If you'd steal 50 cents, you'd steal $5,000.
It's not
if you would steal 500,000, and I'm not so sure how many other people's jewelry was in this assortment of $100,000 that you allegedly lost that day while your security was pumping gas and you weren't in the car. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. And that was a friend of yours, broke your cell phone and then caused some negative thing on the internet, and you want to be compensated for both. The defendant says that you broke your own cell phone and that some of his friends must have published this bad stuff about you on the internet. Okay. You know him how?
Through an ex-friend of his, my friend. I'd rather not say his name, but should I?
No.
Okay. Anyways, so we met in October through a mutual friend who is no longer his friend.
Could we pick up the pace a little bit?
So pretty much, long apartment, we're hanging out, we're friends. He needs a place to stay. I have one room, and I'm like, hey, Abish, I have a room. You need a room? Stay at the room. And so he does. We're having roommate situations, and he and I go to Empire Grill. We have a few drinks. I'm driving. We sit in the parking lot on the curb. He's like talking, wants all the attention. But you know what? I don't give him 110% all the time. I'm doing something on the phone. He grabs it out of my hand and throws it out the window, hard, smash, if you will. You're gonna pay for that? He's like, ha, 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 whatever. Now the attention, he's got it all. So, you know.
And on what date did this
happen? This happened on the 17th of February.
Now I'd like you to tell me what happened.
This is what exactly happened.
Don't look over there.
Huh? Okay, I'm sorry.
Stare at me like she was.
Okay.
You know, those big eyes.
Okay, so we went on a date, and she got really drunk. And then we were sitting on her car, and then she kept on receiving like 10 texts at like 1 minute. So I just looked at her phone, and I'm like, there was some really nasty, dirty message in that. So I'm like, this is what happens when you take random people's number at a bar. And this made her really upset and frustrated. And she grabs the phone from my hand and throws out the window.
That sounded like a Disneyland ride.
Really?
What are you on, you crazy?
You two people appear to be a Disneyland ride.
Well, his story.
Listen to me, Ms. McKillop, this is what we're going to do. Yes. I'm dismissing your case without prejudice. You can go back to small claims court and deal with your problem.
For real?
Because I don't want to deal with you.
First point for the red team.
Cover me!
In the lead.
Fire! Nice shot! Cover me! Reloading!
The red team doesn't have a lot of time